What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to Let's Talk Live on the LTL Media channel. It is Sunday night. Patriots lost again. I think it's time for them to put Drake May in, but I know their offensive line is horrible. So I have no solution. I've listened to talk radio on the way over when I was leaving work today, and they have no solution. What do we do? And, I guess like the whole thing is, oh, let's give him 8 games. 8 games? That's like half a season. You can't. We have to start making some changes there. But we're here live tonight on Let's Talk Live. We're going to have a fantastic show here tonight. I want to be extremely transparent with everybody. Jess Machado is not on the show tonight. We are reviewing a recent podcast. Made that very clear in my Facebook post, but we're going to review a recent podcast that she did talking about her experience inside the courtroom during the Karen Reed trial. But I promise you, I have been talking to Jess. She is extremely busy with school and work, and I'm hopefully to get her into the studio here when she does have some free time. And Jess, if you are watching, you're watching this back on replay, I want to thank you so much. You have been an awesome angel on my shoulder when it comes to a lot of things, researching, getting documents. And you took time the other day, out of your very busy schedule to go through some things with me. And I really do appreciate that. So you've been an angel here, always a fun guest here to have on the show, and I promise I'd love to get you back, and I will get her back here on the show soon. She is just extremely busy, and she was like telling me the other day, I am extremely busy, but school is going well for her in between work, and things should be starting getting a little bit better for her. But let's do this. We had an amazing thing that happened over this past Saturday in Washington, D.C. A free Karen Reed sign and standout happened at the nation's capital. And what I'm going to do here is bring in my friend that we're getting to know each other backstage, but she, Lauren Elizabeth, she ran the DC standout. Let's bring her in and hear a little bit about what happened this past Saturday. Let me bring Lauren in here. Lauren, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Brian?
I'm fantastic. And you had your first standout in DC over at the nation's capital. And I'll tell you, when you sent me those photos, I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like to see a free Karen Reed sign out in front of the Capitol, because, where to like major standouts and major protests always happen, and to bring awareness, they happen at our nation's capital. And to see that there, a free Karen Reed sign, it was just like, oh, this is so awesome. So tell us, how did everything go? How many people showed up, and what was the vibe through the day? And tell me about all the people that walked by. Were they curious?
It was awesome. It was absolutely successful. So we had 3 people. Someone from Pennsylvania drove in, who awesome. Is Kathy. She's one of the ladies who helped organize it. And then Tim and Nathan. They're from Massachusetts, but they.
Yeah, I know Tim.
Yep, awesome. That was so fun. And then a man named Eddie, he also came, and and Rachel is Mike Crawford's friend. He put us in touch with her, so she helped organize too. And we stood out. Oh, yep, you can see on the pictures. We stood out like it's called Lafayette Square, right behind the White House, and
look at that.
We also
we
also did a little lap around
nice.
Like the White House and the ellipse and everything, because when we come back in, I think February for the bigger event, it's going to be like, we're going to do a marching route. So we kind of like mapped it out a little bit. And it was a lot of people were interested. Like,
really?
They would come up. I kind of put a lot of effort into like my poster, because I wanted to like put the main points on it that I could think of that would kind of spark people's interest. And so as they were walking by and I was talking to them about it, I was just like, bullet point.
Yeah.
And like that seemed to really get people's attention. Like I was ready to give a presentation. And some people would just come up and look at, take pictures or ask questions. And at one point we were approached by an independent journalist in the area. His name is Johnny Silvercloud on Instagram.
Nice.
He was very interested, and he actually asked us to do like an impromptu street interview. And
Cool.
there's a short clip of that on his Instagram page. And we were talking about Enrique. We talked about Sandra. We talked about Karen, John, everything. And we talked with him for a long time. The clip is very short. We had a
Short.
long
Yeah.
conversation with him. And while we were marching, somebody was mid-jog and stopped and was like, "Free Karen Reed, what are you guys doing down here?"
Yeah.
So he was from Massachusetts, and he said that his family's been following the case. So he asked to take our picture, and he sent it to his family back home. But people were interested. You know, they came up, they asked questions. It was definitely successful. It was a lot of success.
That's awesome. So DC is, I've driven through it. I've never actually been able to stop. I've seen the Capitol before, but I know I definitely want to make a trip down there. So we'll have to plan for that sometime. And I want to get down because there's a lot of things that I want to see, like all the museums and stuff like that too. I love these signs. And the thing that I really love about it, I'm going to go back to this shot. The thing that's this one here, what I love about it is the yellow and pink signs. Those are great because you can see those far from a distance, and that might create some curiosity. People come over and they're like, oh, like what is that? So when people were walking by and asking, did you have quite a few people that were asking questions like, what is this? And did you have an opportunity to explain it to anybody?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say the most common question was probably, who is Karen Reed?
Sure.
And then, we would explain who she was, and then we would lead into how, we want to get real justice for John O'Keefe. And in order to do that, we need to clear Karen's name so we can go, find the real culprit. And so we focused a lot about like police corruption type of stuff, so that a lot of people were interested in hearing about it from that perspective. And there were other demonstrations going on, and when they would walk by, they would read our signs and stuff like that. So but a lot of people just wanted to know, like, how could this happen, what I mean? And the biggest thing we kept saying is, if it can happen to Karen, it can happen to anyone. And that's why this matters so much.
Yeah, Sophie says she loves that people asked. Nellie says, great day for DC, thanks for sharing. It's a very powerful day, and I don't think that people, maybe don't understand the magnitude of that. Like, you got to look at the history of like protests and standouts that happen on, at DC. And I think it's a pretty amazing thing. And the thing that you can be really proud of is that you were the first one. You organized it, you put it together, and you get out there and stand out there. And this photo right here is extremely iconic. I mean, you have the framed t-shirt with the White House in the background, Tim to your right, which is cool. But very iconic photo. I mean, this is that's pretty awesome. And I gotta say, for a photo perspective, and I'm a imagery guy, you got it dead center. That's pretty good.
That's good, because the sun was that was literally just like a quick, like, let's try to do this, because the sun was right in my eyes. So
you're lined up right with that flagpole.
That's perfect. I wanted to get a little closer, but I'm pretty happy with that, because it was very sunny. But yeah, thank you so much. It was, in what you're saying about the magnitude of it, it's true. Like, I mean, when I was giving this street interview, I don't know who I became, but like, it just, words were coming out of my mouth, and I just had this passion. And when it wasn't my turn to talk, I was literally like making sure I breathed, because I was just so overcome with adrenaline that, like, I almost wanted to cry. And like, not because I was upset or anything. It was just like this rush. And I was like, I'd never experienced something like that before. It was extremely powerful. And it honestly just fueled my fire for this whole thing even more.
It's interesting that you say that, because, I started covering the Karen Reed case last October. So no, before that, September I started doing. So last September, I just put my year message out, actually. And my first court hearing was in January. It's freezing that day. And just to get out there and stand with everybody, I had that same feeling, like you said, just the energy that comes in, and the vibe, and the people, and everybody was very accepting and very, shared tons of information and got me involved and said, who are you? And, tell us about your channel and what you've been doing. And then just meeting all the different other creators that are out there and learning more about this, being around people, because I was still very new to the case at that point, and still gathering a lot of information and trying to kind of work through and go, all right, what's going on here? But I knew like 2 months in, when I had Turtle Boy on my show for the first time, and I just said, dude, I'm going to be honest with you, super new to the case. I'm kind of down the middle, but leaning like Karen did not do this because things just don't add up. Can you just come on my show and explain to everybody? It's like, absolutely. Yeah. And that's when I met with him for the first time, I was like, all right, now I get it. Now it's all being, and I got the opportunity to watch Framed on his channel. I go, all right, this all makes sense to me now. Like, there's no way Karen did this. So
that's what got me into it too, was I saw the Framed video.
Yeah.
I think I saw it probably a couple of months before, after it came out. And so I've been following this for a long time. I've just been like quiet.
Like, yeah. A lot of people have. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been in the know, but I definitely have like gotten more into it since like it actually went to trial and was watching it on TV. But I was following this before anybody, like outside, like before it became like more national news, you know what I mean? Like when it was still like a very quiet thing going on, I remember hearing about it.
And it was interesting too, of like how long, I mean, when I started to look at it, it was very interesting in the fact of like how long it felt to really hit the national news. I mean, really, to me, I mean, Aiden was getting it out there. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, he was just going everywhere and talking about it. It was great, but it just like, it didn't feel like it had that hook until like the trial. And I still don't really feel like it. I'm like, dude, this is such an important case. Like, there's so many elements that are going on here. I mean, there's police corruption. There's someone that's being framed. There's evidence that's been tampered with. There's, unfortunately, a dead police officer that, got killed at a police officer's house. Like, how are people not watching this? How do people not understand? Unfortunately, we're looking here in January to go back to a second trial because of the mistrial, which is just complete sham. It's a complete sham.
Yeah.
No, so when are you? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just affirming. I was like, I agree with everything that you said. Yeah.
So when are you going to be planning to do another standout? Anytime soon, or maybe next month, or anything like that? I know it's going to be cold soon, but we don't care here in New England. Yeah. We're still going to stand out.
Yeah. No. It stays a little bit warmer down here. Like, it takes a little bit longer to get colder, and it stays warmer longer. I don't even know if that just made sense, but anyways, it stays warmer longer, and it gets warmer earlier.
Right.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, so I don't know if we'll do another one in October, just because I know the next couple weekends I'm not gonna be here.
Of course.
And then the holidays, but I definitely like to do it at least once more before like the holiday season. And then the big thing that we're going to plan will probably be February. So yeah, but
if you're going to do, like I said, if you're going to do one in February, that's probably the one that I'll come down and plan for.
That's the one that I think a lot of people will probably go to.
Right.
Rachel and I, she's one of the organizers. We're already talking and we're already getting things going for that. We just are trying to figure out a date because we want to do something that works for people.
Right.
Some people are saying a weekday or a weekend, and we're just trying to balance that with like the logistics of doing an event like that. Like, what is going to be the best day of the week to be seen and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we're going to have a date set soon, so everybody will have plenty of time to plan.
That's perfect.
But I just want to kind of go at least once, maybe twice more, just to get used to the area again. And, maybe the same people will see us again. And if you see somebody more than once, you'll, remember, and you want to learn more. So
of course. Do this. Keep in touch with me, like logistics wise, if you know of any, like just even hotels in the area where we could get a list out to people, I can help you with that. Get the list out so people can start planning ahead, because I'm sure hotels in DC fill up quick because there's so many people that come in and they want to visit. So maybe, if we can get a list together of hotels, and if you want to do that. And then what I would love to do on your next standout, let me know. So if you go live from there, I'll stream it through my channel and everybody can, kind of touch base and see what's going on. That'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah, that would definitely be awesome. I know that Rachel had us go live on her phone, and I think they streamed it through Young Jerks.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I'll definitely do that if I go again before February.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great idea about like getting a list of hotels and stuff.
Yep.
And the other thing I was wondering is like maybe they could do like rent a bus or something and like if everybody.
Yeah, like charter a bus to go down. It's not a bad idea.
I did that one time. I mean, this was 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But I did that one time to go to something in Ohio, and we had a whole bus full of people, and it wasn't that expensive. So that could be
if we all chipped in and did something like that, that wouldn't be and I'm sure there probably are buses that just go to DC anyway.
There
We
are.
could just all
Groundhound. There's Greyhound bus routes.
Right. Yeah. I'm a road trip guy, so I probably would end up driving. I mean, I've flown to DC. It only takes like an hour and a half or something from here. But I would want to drive and do like a whole experience because that would like be awesome. And then all the states that you stop through, you can stand in front of like the signs like, hey, welcome to, whatever, New York. And you can be what your free Karen Reed sign. It'd be awesome.
That's actually a really good idea. You guys can chronicle your trip down to DC.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, it would make great content for my channel too. So
exactly.
That's definitely something. Yeah, definitely something I'm gonna do. But that's great because that will give me a heads up. I can start logistically planning for it. And like I said, reach out to me. We'll work together. We can get some list of hotels. Maybe I'll look up and see how much it would cost to actually charter a bus if people wanted to do it. Obviously, they have to pay their own ticket to go. But if they're gonna go, maybe we can do something and it'd be really, really cool. So it's a good idea. Yeah. Cool.
I love that.
All right, Lauren. Well, I appreciate you jumping on and giving me 20 minutes of your time this evening. And let's stay in touch. We've been talking pretty regularly through Messenger, and I appreciate you getting the photos over to me. And then, like I said, next time, if you plan on, in the next, month or two or whatever in November, if you do a standout, reach out to me. Let's plan for it. I'll live stream it on here so everybody can see what's going on. And I'll see you at the Halloween party, by the way.
Yes, you will. And and I'm 99% sure that I'm coming home this coming weekend. So if I am, I'm going to try to go to my first Massachusetts standout. And then, possibly the weekend of the Halloween party too. But if I do one down here, I will definitely let you know so we can get a stream going.
Yeah, of course. And then, like I said, stay in touch and I'll see you up at the Halloween party. And if you make it out to one of the standouts, let me know because I probably live in that area. I'll come out and we can all hang out and do stuff like that.
Oh, one more thing. I actually just wanted to, at the end, I want to just give you my email because I had seen a couple comments before. People had wanted to contact me. So I just wanted to give them a way to do that.
Please do.
So it's just laureliz0593@gmail.com.
Perfect. So Lauren Elizabeth here did the first Free Karen Reed standout with a few awesome people over this past Saturday. Great historic event down there on the nation's capital. That's really awesome. And if you ever want to jump on and talk, please just reach out and we'll be in touch anyway. And I'll definitely see you one way or another. Definitely at the Halloween party. So,
all right, I'll see you there. Bye, guys.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Thanks for jumping on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That is Lauren Elizabeth, the first Free Karen Reed standout in DC. Such a historic moment, badass. And I definitely know that I'll be taking the road trip down in February and I'll chronicle it along the way. And I think it will be a lot of fun to do that. So awesome. That was really, really good. All right, let's go to the recent podcast with Jess Machado. And this is from the New Bedford podcast. And it's about a 30-minute segment here. And then she's going to get into Jacob Pothier, but we're not going to go into that tonight because we're talking a little bit more Karen Reed. But that is something that another live that I'm going to keep following up on because there has been some breakthrough, some other things that have broken in that case. And obviously, we've been talking very heavy about Enrique Delgado Garcia of what's going on there. So let's get through this podcast. We'll listen to this. Maybe we'll play through the Canton Confidential this evening. And I definitely want to get to the new swearing in of Colonel Jeffrey Noble that happened over a couple of days ago here. He's going to be the new colonel for the Massachusetts State Police. He actually made a comment about Enrique Delgado Garcia, and I want you to all see that and hear that this evening too. So do me a favor, just before we start this, if you could smash the liketh button, I would appreciate it. And we'll get this going. And this is a great little 30-minute segment here.
In all of this Karen Reed situation.
Well, he said the most shocking thing about the migrants.
Hang on here. Let me go back.
Situation.
Well, I think everybody was kind of watching it online. So there was definitely some sort of like online presence about this story. So when it first hit, I remember seeing it on the news and thinking, wow, that girl's too pretty to have killed her boyfriends. And then definitely Turtle Boy started writing articles about it. And they were one a day, one a week. Sometimes it was just constantly there. So you're reading about it is very interesting. And I had started working for Fall River Reporter. I'd gone to some pretrial hearings. Because things were kind of slow. I was just getting my start, and I went up there and I thought it was really interesting. The trial began, and I told our boss, Mike, I said, listen, I've got to go up there. And he's like, you can go for the day, go check it out.
She didn't go for the day.
And I went, spent the whole day, was live tweeting, which is kind of like a really interesting way for people to get their news, especially if they're working, right?
I love it. Yeah. That's kind of how I was following along the whole thing.
Some people can't watch on their screen. They can't listen, but they can kind of refresh and follow these live tweets. So I remember the computer I had at the time was old. It was like a dinosaur. It was so heavy, and I'm in the courtroom holding it and like trying to tweet fast. I wasn't really good at it. I'm older, so I'm not like these kids that can like do this stuff quickly. But after that day, I remember driving home from Boston, and I called my boss and I said, I would love to go every day. And he's like, no, I can't. I need you down here. We need people down here for news down here. And then he saw the views that it was getting on Twitter, and he's like, okay, maybe you can go back.
Yeah, because you took the Fall River Reporter Twitter page from like nothing to...
We had 300 people at the time, and now I think we have almost 14,000.
It's crazy.
Which is amazing for local. I mean, I don't know what the numbers of the other local Twitter accounts that we have. Like, not we have, just like competition or whatever in the area, but
it's huge.
I think you surpassed pretty much all of them.
It was my goal. I promised him. I said,
so Jess is meeting with Stephen Richard. I believe Stephen works with her and kind of their tech guy. And actually set up this studio, which is pretty badass. And Jess, this is the New Bedford podcast. This is episode number 2. And you can follow Jess on @Jess Machado Show on Twitter and @Fall River Reporter. And like I said, she's been kind of an angel in my corner, as far as like we kind of lose touch for a while and then we come back around. And the other day, she literally took a half an hour of a busy schedule to walk me through some things, on the court websites. And I was like, thank you so much for this. And I plan on, and hopefully, Jess has really been busy, hopefully getting her up here in the studio to do a live here. I think it'd be really great, and just to catch up with her in person. But Jess, like I said, if you're watching, you're amazing. Thank you so much. You've been a great asset to LTL Media and to myself. And thank you for taking the time and giving me your time, because I really respect the fucking hell out of you as a journalist, and you kill it. You're great. All right, let's play through here a little bit more.
If you let me cover this case, I will get you 10,000 followers. And I remember that day. It happened at night. It was late. It was like 10:30 at night. And I was like running around my house. I was like, I did it. We got him. And it helped me too in my brand. Like, I also have like over 13,000. And it's just Twitter. I love Twitter. X. I love X. I love the freedom that people have to absorb news in an organic way. Nobody's filtering it for you. They let you read and decide on your own, as opposed to other platforms where they kind of don't let you see and hear everything. So I love the platform. I was very happy, and people love the Karen Reed story. They, it's a sad story, but they love it. And
it's an interesting one. And so how did you become, because there's only a certain amount of media that's allowed in the courtroom, right?
Yes.
And how did Jess get in there? Because you have people from all across the world with cameras trying to get in that courtroom. And here comes Jess, one of how many people?
There's only 10 that were allowed in the courtroom. So the ironic twist about that is the original courtroom that this was going to be held in could hold probably double the amount of press. But the defense team put in a motion to move it to a different courtroom because they felt that the jury didn't have a direct line of sight to all of the people on the witness stand. So it was actually Karen Reed's team that suggested that they change the venue or do something. And the judge said, okay, great. We're going to go into a different courtroom, which was about half the size. The Norfolk Superior Courthouse is ancient. It's over 100 years old. And so we moved to a smaller room, and that only allowed for 10 spaces. And on the first day, I don't think anybody knew what to expect. I remember getting there very early. There were helicopters flying up above, and I was like, this is going to be crazy. And I just happened to get there early enough. I think I was there at 6 o'clock that morning.
At what time did it like start?
9.
Okay, got you.
So they let you in the courthouse at 8:30. I got there at 6, and it's an hour drive for me.
There was a whole battle, I think, because you're a great Twitter follow.
Yes.
So it wasn't there a whole battle of like holding spots in line. You had like girls holding your spot in line overnight. It was like
the Hunger Games out there. I'm not kidding
you.
It
was crazy.
That first day, I got spot number 9.
I remember, I think it was the first day. I think the first day I walked into that buffer zone and Jess was down there. She was holding her spot, or it might have been the first or the second. It was in that first week. And I literally tried doing an interview with Jess. I was live streaming, tried doing an interview with Jess, and state police officer came along and was like, you need to get out of here. You can't be down here interviewing people. I'm like, there's not even anything going on. And you're letting those people film right there. But I ended up just obeying the order, leaving. So I didn't want to get arrested. And Jess was like, we'll just catch up. And then I really appreciate it. I mean, she was very, very busy at the time, but once a week, she would take one night and come on. And I think we did probably 6 or 7 shows during the trial. And she gave us in courtroom, what was going on. And that was awesome. It really added value to the show and the trial. And, I'm just very appreciative of that because she was very busy at that time. But one night a week, she would jump on and give us in courtroom stuff. It was great.
But I knew the next day people were going to recognize how competitive it was.
Yes,
you could always go into the overflow room, but to be in the room was definitely, obviously, an advantage if you're reporting on it. And it turned crazy. So we were looking for seat holders. Now, big media companies would pay people to do it. They'd have staffers that would just sleep in the chair overnight, getting like $30, $40 an hour. We're a small team down here. We don't have a big team. So sometimes, and a chair would maybe hold the spot. I would drive up sometimes overnight and leave my chair. Sometimes I'd stay. Sometimes I'd sleep. And then because I had
Aiden had chair watchers. They were doing like 4-hour shifts, so his chair wouldn't get like taken or get moved. That's how Aiden had to do it to get in the courtroom. It's pretty pathetic, though. It's pretty pathetic. If you're just there and you're in line, that's the way that it should have been. This whole like seat holding bullshit, just crazy. But I'm glad Jess got to get in. I'm glad Aiden definitely got to get in. Well deserved.
Had a following.
I got in once. I got invited.
I
great.
Never believed that would happen, but there were people following the case and following my work that offered to sleep in chairs for me.
You did chairs?
They did.
Oh wow.
Did you run into like a power trip issue where like maybe you got that last spot and then there's some guy like, hey, I'm CNN, like I need to be in the courtroom, like who's Fall River?
There was a ton of drama. I have a restraining order against another reporter who accosted me because he took my chair out of line. And when I got there, I moved his chair and I got in my rightful spot and, he pushed me and it was just crazy. So I have a restraining order on that man.
No shit.
Yes, for a year, actually. I went to court, asked for an emergency order, got that. And then I had to go back for a hearing where he was there. Now he's an attorney, so he defended himself and I still won. So I have an order of protection for him. And it was really just about, I needed the freedom to be able to go and do my job without feeling threatened or worried about my space. So some people took it to the absolute extreme. That person in particular. And there were other people towards the end. So the AP, for example, was not there at all for the whole trial. But when it came time for jury deliberations, the AP showed up and they were not willing to adhere to the unwritten rules of your chair held your place in line. They would move chairs. They jumped right in line. It was highly competitive.
Dana, how are you?
We had journalists from Florida, Brazil. It brought out the last few weeks of that trial brought out an insane amount of not only fans, but protesters and media outlets. There was everybody there, Inside Edition, everybody. So what ultimately ended up happening is I went to everybody who had been there for the trial. So the main 10 people, and it fluctuated sometimes if I wasn't there, if I was sick or someone else, but there was a main group of 10 or 12 people. I went over to them and said, let's make our case to the state police, who
Associated
Press, jurisdiction over that space, to the courthouse, and said, listen, we've been here this whole time. How could we have been here for all these months and then have these people come in here, not follow these kind of unsaid rules and take our spots? I'm
going to pause this right here. I want to show you a video that actually was playing as the trailer in this. And Jess actually explaining, because I was down there when all this shit was going on. and all the kind of bullying by the mainstream media and the AP. We'll play this clip really quick from Jess down at the courthouse. This was back on July 24th, 2000 and does that make sense? 2024? No, that doesn't make sense.
At the supporters level. And again, adding to it and making it into a circus, it's so unfortunate that this is even happening. Everybody should know for days and days and days, we've had massive crowds here with not one police problem or interaction. If anything, the biggest issue was press. Greedy press mongers that were trying to get close to Karen, push Karen, make things uncomfortable for her and the team, who were willing to actually sacrifice their SJC passes out of the attempt to get the money shot. And aside from that, there has been no issue with these people out here. As a matter of fact, do you have time for this? Because I can stop. We had someone come over to us early in the morning who said they have a property adjacent to here, and they wanted to compliment whoever was in charge about how peaceful it has been. There isn't one piece of trash in the aftermath of each one of these standouts, and how happy they were that this was not as invasive as they thought it was going to be. And now here we are today. We've got these people showing up, making a scene, causing a spectacle, trying to get their 5 minutes of fame. That's all I'm going to say, but I will tell you from the picture that I had, which was from far away, I could see Kate's nose in that picture from all the way across the lawn. That's so much.
Thanks, Jess. I love it. Oh, I love it. I love that dig at the end. All right, it's talking about Kate Peters. All right, let's keep playing through this podcast. This is so good.
Fair. So we ended up convincing everybody to kind of join together as a team. So all of these media outlets, large media outlets, small media outlets, but it was that 10, I think 11 maybe.
No, I think what happened is I had the clips. Yeah, because Little Cupcakes, it must have been June. No, it was July. I think what I had a ton of footage that I filmed during deliberation week, and I just forgot to upload it, and I must have uploaded it late. That's probably what happened. Hello. Welcome in. Smash the like button when you come in. Let everybody know my Cash App is working again. I know I had an issue with Cash App. My Venmo is working. Just wanted to let everybody know because I know last time we had problems with Cash App, but it is working again. All right, let's keep playing through.
We all got together and
the penguin knows. Yeah.
The state police. I said, listen, everybody here has agreed to this. And I sold it to them and they said yes. So they came and took our names where we were in line. And then he said, this is it for the day for the rest. So then we didn't need to even put chairs anymore because it was already established. I wish we had done it sooner, actually. But it mattered towards the end because it was very intense waiting for the jury to come back or going back in when the jury had a question. It was just a very fluid scene. And so having that security of your space, but there's no rules. Like I said, it was the Hunger Games. And the courthouse basically is we want nothing to do with this. What you guys do has nothing to do with us. We're going to give you 10 spots. How you get there is up to you.
Brenda, I just want to recognize you. Thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's keep playing.
And so one of those 10 was Turtle Boy, correct?
Yes.
And
not
that's
at the
a whole
beginning,
story.
actually. Yeah. It's so, it was really interesting. But when the Karen Reed trial started, or in the beginning in the preliminary hearings, he was incarcerated. And prior to that, he was always just in the audience. So it was only after he got released. I actually was there the day that he got released. One of the first people to speak with him.
I think I remember that he came out the steps and gave a pretty fiery speech.
But I was actually in the courthouse waiting for him to come out with his attorney and their team. And I had talked to him a lot while he was in jail. We spoke all the time. I had written that article about him and did an interview with him. Nobody was interviewing him. And I just thought it was such an interesting story
so how did that relationship work? Because I know you're a Turtle Boy victim, right? He's
pride,
writing a pretty nasty article about you during COVID time when you were running for office, right?
Yeah.
So how did the start of this Karen Reed fiasco, were you guys still kind of didn't like each other, or how did you guys kind of
So I actually never not liked him. So he wrote a story about me when I was running for office. I was definitely not on his radar, but when you run for office, you're, got a target on your back. And my political opponents took some old videos of me where I was calling teachers unsavory names. I love teachers. I just don't like teacher unions. And so they took these videos and along with the fact that I held a fundraiser for my campaign a couple days before the shutdown of COVID and said that was kind of insensitive to the whole COVID situation. And Aiden wrote a story about me. It was terrible. I say it all the time. I remember the day it came out. It was a really dark day. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. It went everywhere. He had a far reach at that time. And, everybody was calling me. My mom was like, everybody's messaging me about this story. And it hurt for a couple of days. But first of all, I own everything. I said all of those things. I did all of those things. So how can I be mad at somebody for just exposing that? I need to stop.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. And so that was while you were running for, what were you running for? It was, it wasn't school committee. Was it city council?
School committee.
School committee. Okay. And do you think that kind of like put a nail into that campaign? Like him writing that big hit piece? Yeah, it was over.
100%.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're good. But I mean,
so again, if you're just dipping in, we're watching about a 30-minute segment here from the New Bedford podcast. I think Jess is doing these once a week, and she's with one of the gentlemen that she works with. His name is Stephen Richard. And we're talking about, Jess's time covering the Karen Reed case, her relationship with Turtle Boy, and what, her experience was like being out there. So I know this is an unseen podcast. Not a lot of people have talked about this. I found it, thought it was great, and wanted to kind of hear, now that Jess had the opportunity to kind of think about everything and digest everything, what her experience was like outside of the inside the courthouse when she was there. So I love this. This is great so far. All right, we'll keep playing through.
It is kind of a badge of honor, right?
You have to own it. You have to own it. And I reached out to him and I said, you should have come to me and asked me first. And he's like, well, talk me through it. Why do you think I shouldn't have written the story? And I said, this is how I feel about COVID. Now, post-COVID, all these years later, he's like, I definitely think about COVID differently than
a lot of
back
people.
then.
Yeah, a lot of people regret the shaming other people for.
And then as we kind of got to know each other just through Facebook and Messenger and things like that, he's offered to take it down, and I said, absolutely not. Leave it up. It's a badge of honor.
Okay. So he offered to take it down, and you're like, nah. Screw that. Keep it up.
No,
That's
because
cool.
I think it's an extraordinary thing for it to be featured on there, first of all. And then it also just goes to show, again, you kind of have to own it. People,
you grow and you learn,
or acting a certain way, and then just getting mad because somebody talks about it. I mean, it's out there. Like, we live in a digital age. This is a footprint forever. So I owned it. I said, fine, whatever, leave it up. And he did. And then when he was in jail, I was very curious about that whole situation, how it was adjacent to the Karen Reed trial. And I was so shocked nobody was talking about it, because if you follow his case, which I do, this guy
someone who's a little detached from all this. Yes. Why was he in jail?
So he was charged with witness intimidation for going around people that were involved in the Karen Reed case and freedom of speech, going out in front of where they work or their home on the sidewalks, never going to people's houses, never touching them, but using his First Amendment right to kind of picket these people. And they charged him with witness intimidation and picketing, I think, or something like that. Now, I think there are 1,000 other examples of him doing exactly that where he has never been charged. But his vocal stance on this case and his police rhetoric regarding the investigation and all of these people was definitely affecting the public's perception of this case. So prior to that, Karen Reed was a murderer. When Aiden jumped into this, it was, wait a second, is she really, or is this a cover up?
Right.
And I truly believe that, and just not going to get into some of the details that I know behind the scenes, 100% they used the law, which they easily could have done, to incarcerate him. And so he was put in jail for 60 days. And I think it backfired completely.
Wait, is this the same police department that is involved in the Karen Reed trial?
So Norfolk sheriff is the overseeing. So yes, in that area. So his court cases were in Dedham District Court, right across the street from where Karen's case is, in Norfolk Superior. I think his have actually moved over to Superior, but they got him on a bunch of different things. There was a lot of communication between his ex-girlfriend and Ken Mello, who is the prosecutor in his case. Wild.
And if you haven't watched that live that I did the other night when Jess's reporting came full circle, you need to go back and watch that after this. It's pretty amazing how it was all set up, and I walk everybody through it. Jess's article with Ken Mello, and then now knowing all those court documents that came out in Aiden's case and what Lindsay was doing, it all came full circle. I'll drop that link there in the chat. You can check it out after this live. but I encourage you to go over and watch it. It was a great live, and you can see how it's been kind of like Jess Machado week here on LTL. Kind of playing a little bit of tribute to her here, but it's you got to watch it. I mean, it takes you full circle. It's unbelievable, and you just see Ken Mello literally lying about everything, and they got him. They got him because once they got the extractions and the communication back and forth from Lindsay, Tully, Mello, you start seeing it when this is all planned out just to put Aiden behind bars and silence him. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Conversations that you would never know about unless they had a case with discovery and were able to get this information. It's very incestuous, extremely complicated. But if you look at everything, you recognize this is someone who is very vocal about this case, drew a frenzy of attention. It's world known.
Do you think if Turtle Boy didn't get involved, then she would have been found guilty?
100%.
Wow.
100%. He has changed the outcome of this case.
What am I at for donations? Donations for what reality? I'm just a little confused. Just give me a little bit more context to that.
And forever, there's just no way around it. And so many times I would interview people outside the courthouse and ask them, why are you here? There's hundreds of people outside supporting an accused murderer, right? It's just unheard of. Yes, she's a woman. Yes, she's attractive, and she's so pretty in real life. She's just so a fangirl over all the time. She's got a great sense of style. She's so pretty. And her family's just so great. There's just this weird thing, but I would ask people all the time, why are you here? Why are you taking a day out of work to come stand out here and support this woman? And it had less to do with Karen and more to do with these people thought that if it could happen to her, it could happen to them, that a police investigation could gone awry, or a police investigation could cover up something or pin you for a murder that you didn't commit. These people believed that John was killed inside 30 Fairview.
If you guys want to do contributions, I'll kick back 25% tonight. I have no problem doing that. And then what we'll do, how about we do this? We can do a race at the end. We'll do that. How about we do it like this? Give me a second. I'll set it up. And we can start off. Hang on one second. Give me 2 seconds. This show is live, so if you're watching this back on replay, you're gonna be like, why is he stopping and talking all the time? Because I'm live and we interact with the chat. Why don't we do this? So I will start. So we had Brenda earlier. So Brenda's entered. We'll get Brenda in there. But you got to be here at the end of the live. So we'll do 25%. And then if you want to kick anything out, I'll enter you in. No purchase necessary to get a free Karen Reed hat. Why not? Right? We'll do that. Sure. So 25% of all super chats, cash apps, demos. We'll kick back to Karen Reed's defense. I'd love to get at least $50 in the tank for her tonight. That'd be great. And we'll give away a no purchase necessary. But if you decide to donate tonight, super chat or whatever, I'll kick you in and you'll be in the running for a Bulma free Karen Reed hat. This is the blue on white with the pink patch. Love it. So I got Brenda in there right now. All right, let's play through.
And Karen did not kill him, and that they pinned it on her to protect themselves, and they feel like that could happen to them over and over again. That is what people said. This could happen to any of us.
Now, as a journalist, how do you balance the chaos of all of this drama that's going on with still trying to keep your finger on the truth, right? Like, if you did find some information that made you kind of second guess whether you believe that Karen Reed is innocent.
Yep.
Like, how would you balance that? Like, not going so far down one road of just thinking, all right, I 100,000% believe that she's innocent. Like, how open-minded still are you to the fact that she could potentially be guilty?
So let it be known, every single journalist who is there has an opinion on this case. So anybody thinking that these mainstream media companies, these NBC people they all have an opinion on this case. The majority of them thought that she did it.
That she did it?
That she did it.
Mhm.
Yes.
So mainstream media believes that she did it, and then
Yeah.
it's more the independent journalists that believe that she's innocent.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Now, I think as the case progressed, some people maybe changed their minds or a little bit more open to the possibility of things. But as journalists, first of all, we're regular people. We have our opinions. We have our politics. We have our opinions on everything. What's most important is that we report facts. So I think one of the things that really resonated with people when I was reporting on this case is I only reported what I saw. So in a courtroom, I never gave any rhetoric around what was just said. I never used adjectives to describe things in a different way. It was just fact-based reporting. So I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, and I'm
And you were
giving
live
it to you.
tweeting from the courtroom,
Live
right?
tweeting it, yes. So, and there were other people who were doing this and saying, oh, so-and-so rolled their eyes or looks, is disparagingly staring, we left all of those things out, and it was just fact-based reporting. And I think people just want that. And again, we talked about it earlier, give people facts and let them make their own decisions.
Exactly.
So is it hard for me? Did I feel like I leaned a certain way? I think I did at some point. I think only based on just how can you not? I mean, there's testimony in that case that was just so egregious. As a regular individual, I could not sit straight faced and really believe some of the things that I was hearing. So again, when it comes to reporting, report the facts, but every reporter has an opinion on everything.
And let me pause this really quick. Reality check, $20. Thank you so much. Netflix or some company should pick up Jess's story on the immigration crisis. She's an amazing journalist. She is an amazing journalist. Yeah, I've actually been following that. We were actually talking about that a little bit on the phone the other day when I was speaking with her, and it's pretty crazy. And she's doing a great job, and she's very invested in that right now. And it's startling some of the things that have come out of her reporting. So thank you. We'll add that 20. We're up to 25 right now. I appreciate it, and you're going to be. We'll drop your name into the little hat giveaway. Why not? Right? All right, let's play.
Whether it comes out in like the way where maybe I would give some sort of like conversation about it afterwards or write something different, it comes out with these other mainstream medias in other ways too. They maybe won't report something, or maybe they'll only report one particular thing, but everybody has an opinion about it for sure.
And so you were in the courtroom the day that they came with the decision or
Yes.
lack of decision?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was, it took me back to it. Those days leading up, so once the jury went into deliberations, was wild. So it was a lot of going back and forth. We were standing, you had to wait. So Aiden and I actually kind of had like this team thing going on where one of us would be at the courthouse and the other one could go and talk to people and do interviews. Hey, they're coming back, and we text each other, and then and Sue O'Connell from NBC Boston was part of that too, by the way. So we would kind of look out for each other.
Was she one of the mainstream people who
she was one of the mainstream
Which
people
she was
she thinks
very critical the other night on Canton Confidential, saying that the Free Karen Reed supporters were causing all this these headaches in and around the courtroom in Canton, and we'll play through that tonight. And very opinionated.
that she was guilty?
I think she did in the beginning, and I think maybe she changed her mind. I can't speak for Sue, but Sue was one of the most, I think, compassionate people there, and she's been doing this for a long time.
Thank you so
She's
much.
very nice to me when I first met her. Treated the non-mainstream media journalists with the same respect that the mainstream media gave each other. So there were definitely people, and not necessarily the ones in the box or the press box with us, but there were people that did not consider Aiden to be a journalist. He's a blogger, if that.
Gotcha, yeah.
And that
Reality
we
check.
weren't
Thank you so
a
much.
good enough
$5.
media company to be there. What are you doing there? Or I've never heard of Fall River Reporter. Or what kind of reach do you get?
Let's see. Let's read this one out. It's just because I love and appreciate Scott McGinnis, because I love and appreciate Scott McGinnis. Thank you. Jay Gann says $10. Thank you so much. Says mainstream media is a joke. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sophie, thank you so much for keeping track this evening. All right, let's play on, players. And again, if you're going to want to watch this without my commentary and stopping, I'll drop the link in the chat. Afterwards, you can go back and watch this all the way through without my commentary. Piney Woods, thank you so much. $2. My phone just came here. New subscriber. Well, welcome in. Welcome in, new subscriber. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. We'll add that. All right, let's play on, players.
Sue was never like that. You know, I think she respected the hard work and the work that we put in. And sometimes I would have court documents before anybody else in the box did because I hustled differently. So she was one of those people that always treated us respect. And she treated Aiden with respect as well, which Ted Daniel too was really great. Ted was awesome. So, but some people weren't. And, you know, sometimes you just have to deal with it. And we're all there. At the end of the day, there were 10 of us in that box and we're all doing the exact same thing. So that the day that it happened, it was, well, every day was, oh, it's going to happen today.
I remember that.
Leona, thank you so much. $10 on Cash App. Thank you so much for the $10. Appreciate that. All right, let's keep playing on, players.
It's so frustrating. Yeah, you wait till like 4 o'clock and then it's nope, we don't have it.
Well, they're going to come back today, and you know that whole thing was wild because before they went to deliberations that very first day, a juror got dismissed, and that was like it rocked my world because
wild.
First of all, can you imagine being in this case this whole time? And then the day you start deliberating, they dismiss you.
And why did they dismiss that juror?
I don't know all of the details yet. I know that Aiden has, I think, maybe discussed it, but she did not want to leave. I know that, and she ended up leaving. She was
it was against.
She did not want to go. No, and she left when she walked in.
You're absolutely right, Sandra.
I couldn't believe it. She's my favorite juror. She was the most expressive. So my big thing was watching jurors. So everybody could watch this thing online. Everybody could watch this case online. You could see it live every day.
Yep. The infamous ceiling fan.
Ceiling fan. The ceiling fan has a Twitter account, by the way.
It does.
It really does.
It really does.
So everybody could watch it. So
Katie, thank you for the $10.
And they're reporting about it.
So love your show. Well, I love you being here. Thank you.
That would kind of like make me stand out. And I focused on the jurors. So everybody was talking about the testimony and the people on the stand and elaborating on what you already saw, but nobody at home could see the jurors. Nobody could see what they were talking about or looking at or how they were dressed. So I really focused on them. And that was a big part of my reporting is
me too,
how
Jody.
They acted, their demeanor, how they dressed, if they communicated with each other. But that juror that left, I called her juror number 4 because that was where she was seated in the beginning. She was my favorite. She was the most expressive. You could tell when she was exasperated with testimony. You could tell when she didn't believe what somebody was saying. You could tell when she had they captured her interest. I had pegged her very early on as being a not guilty person just by her facial expression. So I often tweeted about, you know, the jurors and what they were doing, which I think people really, you don't get to see these people. It's funny to me that, but there's only a small group of people that know who these people are. The people that decided the fate of this case and ended up coming back with a hung jury verdict. I would recognize them if they walked in the door. It's wild to know that we were only a few people that got to see them.
I mean, how many hours overall do you think you spent inside the courtroom?
Oh, hundreds. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
And so where do we stand today on the case?
So they're going to retry her. And so in January, I think is the expected kind of restart of that. In the meantime, I know her defense team has added some people to it. They're trying to remove 2 of the charges because those.
And the SJC is going to hear Karen's appeal on November 6th. So that's a very important date. Mark that on your calendars. I am going to be taking the day off that day. And hopefully if there's any type of live stream from there, I will stream it here on my channel. So let's keep playing on, players. And again, I'll drop this link in the chat after it completes. So if anybody that's on rewatch doesn't want to hear my commentary or stopping, they can go directly to the link, give this video some love. I would appreciate it. But again, this is kind of like a Jess Machado feature. I've done 2 shows in a row about her. Respect her as hell as a journalist. Very easy to talk to and been kind of an angel in my corner, like I was explaining. Has really helped me out with a lot of things in the court system, finding documents and stuff like that. And she did take a couple of minutes the other day, about a half an hour, to kind of bring me through some stuff. So Jess, again, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. Thank you everything that you've done for LTL. And I wanted to kind of feature you here on my channel and hope to have you back soon on the show and get you in the studio and we can do a show together. It'd be really great. Reality Check, thank you so much. $4 super sticker. Thank you. $5. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. No live stream. We recorded and posted later. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. So anyway, we'll go back and post it. No stream for that. Thank you for letting me know. But we'll review it that day. We will review it. All right, let's play on, players.
Those were supposedly within the jury deliberations, those were unequivocal not guilties. And there was some discussion very early on about this juror slip, right? And the defense team argued right on the very first day of deliberations or leading into it that, this isn't how it should look. It's not clear. And the attorney, Alan Jackson, who's from California, he's like,
Drew,
I have an issue with this. And
$5.
the judge was just like, well, we've always done it here. And he's like, well, I don't really care if you've always done it here. That doesn't, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way. I have a lot of respect for Judge Canoni. I know a lot of people who love Karen Reed don't like her. I like tradition. I liked even the old building. I have a lot of respect.
Robin, thank you for the $20.
That are just
Appreciate that.
kind of square. You know what I mean? And the circus around it all was enough. Like, I didn't mind that she was kind of curt and rough and, so it had to be just this way. And that's it. If you started to have like all this flexibility on the judge's side, and then you've got this stuff going on outside, and then the nature of the case itself, I just felt like she was the constant stability throughout that case that was very necessary considering everything surrounding
the chaos around it.
Yeah. So I really loved the judge. I used to look at her shoes every day when she would come in. She'd walk right by us. We had to stop because she walked through the press box. We'd have to stop and move off to the side. They would tell us we couldn't touch her. We had to, but I would always look down at her shoes. All business up top, by the way, people. Straight hair, bangs, but she would have on shoes. Sometimes patent leather high heels with the ankle strap, like very sexy shoes.
She knows she's going to be in a Netflix documentary. She wants to look good.
Yeah, she always looked really great with the shoe department. So yeah, it was always my thing every day to talk about her shoes.
So what was it like? So manslaughter and second-degree murder, right? Those are the two big things against Karen Reed.
I think I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know it all offhand. I always had to read it up when I got there. But I know that there were 3 charges and 2 of them were, unequivocally not guilty. So the defense team is essentially saying that these should not be part of this.
It was the manslaughter driving while intoxicated.
So whatever her team is doing, they're making motions. I thought I read yesterday maybe there was a motion to dismiss all of this. I'll be honest with you. I need a mental health break from the Karen Reed thing. So I welcomed that there's this kind of like space in time where there's no court cases
where you can just relax for a little bit.
Yeah, although Aiden had a court case yesterday as well. He still has all of his cases.
Is that still on the witness intimidation?
Yes.
Oh no,
yeah,
so he's still fighting
going.
that.
Yeah. You know what's crazy in that case? They took his phone, confiscated his phone almost a year ago, and they haven't given it back yet. But that case is wild. Anybody who's dealing with the court system, whether it's in Fall River, New Bedford, or anywhere, you will see it is a absolute vortex of time.
Tiny, thank you for the $5.
So long. The wheels of justice are slow. Could not be more true. From a simple court case to the most expansive murder trial, the amount of time that lawyers get to kind of navigate through this process is extraordinary, and it's not swift. So anybody with any type of case expecting things to move quickly, and even with COVID, it was worse. We're finally getting cleared out of that. I'm still seeing cases in Fall River District Court that were 2020 that are finally getting seen.
Oh my God. Really push things back. Yeah.
So it's a very, very slow process. I've learned a lot. And there's a lot of people that are like true crime junkies that were obsessed with this case.
So it looks like, just Googling it real quick. So she was unanimously concluded she was not guilty of murder or leaving the scene of a deadly accident.
Right.
And we're deadlocked on only the remaining manslaughter charge. So they agreed it wasn't premeditated.
Right.
But that doesn't matter, right? Because they're still going to just try it again for the second degree murder.
Yes.
Because it was a hung jury. So even though that jury,
all 3 of those charges are supposed to be moved over to January. So all 3 are going. They're trying to say if the jury came back and said, hey, we know it's not these 2, we should remove it. But all 3 of them are supposed to be part of the January retrial.
Got you.
And I think the conversations that we're hearing from, which is really interesting. So the jurors haven't spoken with any mainstream media outlets yet, or maybe one has, but getting insight into what was happening during deliberations is super interesting, because there were some people that were just absolutely unequivocally never moving away from she was guilty.
Yeah, some people dig their heels in and you can't convince me otherwise.
And then there were some people who were not guilty, but that some of these jurors are complaining were bullied to kind of move over to the guilty side, and the dynamic of the
Jess doing a great job explaining all this.
I remember when I was looking at them in the beginning, we used to try to figure out what we thought each person did for a living. Like, what do we think that person is, and what, whatever. And ultimately, I was wrong on every single person because
they came out. Like, you can find out.
Aiden has been able to meet with some of these jurors and get some more insight. But
the jurors met with Turtle Boy.
He has spoken and interviewed with them. Yes.
So wait, did they ever release though? Like, so for the manslaughter verdict, like how many said yes, how many said no?
It was there.
Published though,
so not officially through the court. So they just came back and said they could not come to the day that happened, and they called us in, and we went into the courtroom, and we knew we were getting a verdict. I almost like blacked out.
Out of body experience.
I couldn't believe it that I was hearing that they couldn't come to a decision. It was almost anticlimactic.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
And then I was instantly looking at the jury, and they were
like, I was down there that day. I was with Maza. I saw Jess that day. Scott, McGinnis. Everybody was there. Kelly Reed. Everybody was there. And when we heard the announcement, like, we were so nervous when they got the call and said they have a verdict. There's a verdict. And we were just like, the breath got taken out of us. Like, I could not breathe, just knowing all of the passion and the work that I put in this, and the research and the fighting, and being at all the court hearings, and being down there for the trial and streaming the trial, and everything was coming to that moment right then. Literally, the breath was out of my body. And then just hearing that it was like a mistrial, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, in some sense of a relief, you look at it and it's like, okay, well, it's somewhat a win for Karen. She's going to have to go through this again. It's a bunch of bullshit. She's financially going to be dragged through the dirt. But we have another fighting chance here. It was just utter confusion. There was so many people confused. And it just was a very confusing day. And there was a lot of people crying. I mean, I shed tears that day. There was a lot of people crying around me. I saw people crying that I didn't even think could cry. I was pretty emotional. And then just after, after all kind of the dust settled and Karen left, we went back into the church, and Kelly Reed was so kind and said, hey, there's food here if you want to eat. And we got to actually sit in there for a moment and kind of take in the environment. And that's where I went into the room that Karen waited for during deliberation. And I got some of those photos and turned them black and white to give it, some of that, ominous feel to it. And then I had the opportunity to go into the grand room there, the ballroom, or, where the stage is. And I found out that was a very, very historic church. Believe it or not, during the Revolutionary War, that church was a hospital. So when wounded soldiers would come in there, they got operated on. And there was a crest inside that ballroom that the church owner or someone that worked in the church was telling me about. And I was like, this is crazy. I mean, to think about that. But it was wild. All right, let's keep playing on. About another 4 minutes, and then this is going to turn. We'll play through the Canton Confidential. We'll talk through that. And then I wanted to get to the swearing in of Colonel Jeffrey Noble this evening, too. Thank you all for being here. If you can smash the like button, I really would appreciate it. I just had another dono come in. Gina, thank you so much for the $5. Well, I appreciate that. She said, appreciate all your coverage, free Karen Reed. Well, thank you.
There were 2 jurors that were crying, that were upset. The family of John O'Keefe was outwardly sobbing and crying.
So that's actually an interesting dynamic, because the family of John O'Keefe hates Turtle Boy, thinks that Karen Reed's guilty.
And he was standing about 1 foot away from them when he was crazy. In the courtroom, right
what
behind
them. What was that
them.
tension like?
Always tense. Always tense. The courtroom in itself, remember when I said it had to move to this different courtroom? So in the original courtroom, it would have been the judge in the front and then the public on both sides of an aisle. This courtroom, for whatever reason, they're together like this. So Karen Reed's family is in eye contact with.
Yes, if you're just coming in, the gentleman is Stephen Richard. This is an employee that works with Jess. He's got a channel here, and he does the New Bedford podcast. He's kind of their tech guy. And Jess sits down with him about once a week and talks about the current cases that she's involved in and things that are going on in New Bedford and the Fall River Reporter. And this is like episode 2. And I caught this the other day and I said, hey, I got to play through this and talk through it. It's a really great interview. And we'll keep playing through.
With John O'Keefe's family the whole time. The jury is in eyesight to John O'Keefe's family the whole time, and Karen. It's just very intimate. I was always very surprised at that. You'd have these two families within feet of each other, and then you add the dynamic of Aiden standing right behind them. I mean,
I'm assuming they don't get along very well.
No.
eHarmony.
No. Take
There's
a shot in the
big,
dark here.
There's a real big issue going on with those people. There's been words between them at prior pretrial hearings and things like that. Yes, no. And then not only that, but think about it. Aiden has spent the past year and a half highlighting all of these key players in this case, the people that he believes are really responsible. And sometimes those people were sitting right in front of him. Now, keep in mind.
Now, let's add this. Beverly, let's see. Beverly, I did get it. I just got it. Came through. So Beverly, $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much. We'll add that to the total. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, let's keep playing on.
He has open cases of witness intimidation. When those people were on the stand, he could not be in the courtroom. So the judge had to rule and say, like, on those days, he could not be here. So we would have to watch the day to see who would be called. And then he would have to be out of the room. And then when they were off the stand, he could come back in. So it's just, the dynamic is just wild. I think every murder trial has some sort of an element of crazy to it and all of these things. I've never been in one. Well, I've actually covered a couple murder trials in Fall River, and there's no competition for the press box. There's nobody in there talking about it, which is very sad to me that, you know, it's still the loss of a life of one person, and how one can gain so much support and one can completely almost be anonymous. I've been in courtrooms for both of those. And it's still somber to think that somebody's lost their life, but the public interest is just not there for some people.
And what kind of like time is Turtle Boy facing for his witness intimidation?
So he's got quite a few charges out there. He, I don't know. I think he's fairly confident he's not going to be convicted of these charges. He often will give examples of when he's done something very similar to just someone not related to the Karen Reed case, and why was he not charged in those.
Right.
First Amendment is a big thing for him, but it's a big thing for a lot of people in this case, the ability to be able to protest or support or have a visibility event for whoever you want and speak what you want and say what you want. I mean, we live in a society right now where we heard in the 2020 election how, you know, Hunter Biden's laptop story is legit, but Facebook clearly snuffed that out and we couldn't have access to that, right? For people like me watching that, knowing that was true, already being on Twitter or X and knowing this is 100% true, and it not showing up where everybody else was on Facebook, you're going, where's the freedom of speech here? Where's the ability to talk about this? I remember during the 2020 election, I'm sure you know, everybody I knew was getting put in Facebook jail.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, and it was sometimes like the older generation of people like sharing an article or something and not realizing it, and Facebook's putting them in jail.
I think if you shared the laptop thing, you got like put in jail on Facebook or something like that. Just if you like reshared it.
Yes. And so
absolutely insane.
I don't know too much about the witness intimidation charges. On the surface, to me, it looks like there's just nothing there, but I don't know if he's been in jail for 60 days. And that's, listen, Aiden, for everything that he is. And I've got to know him over this trial and see him all the time and talk to him. And I talked to him at his lowest when he was in jail. So I would speak on the phone with him. We would communicate through the jail service. I think he is inherently a good guy. His tactics and how he does things are different and extraordinary, but I think they have to be in order to get these stories out, whether it's this story or any other story that he's written about. I think it has to be an extraordinary way because there's so many roadblocks to getting through truth. And, you know, I do it every day, you know, whether it's a FOIA request and people fighting me on it or, you know, asking questions and people being evasive. It's just to have to dig into work to find the truth is exhausting. And you have to appreciate people that are putting in that work and then putting themselves on the line, their families on the line. I mean, he's really taken it to the extreme in order to give transparency to people. And I think that's why he has such a huge following. People are just like, he's working for us. He's doing it for us.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of work.
It's kind of like that him against the world mentality kind of vibe.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, he's got his personality. He's very charismatic, and he's got an ego. I think you have to have. I have an ego. I'm totally like keeping it under the radar because I don't want. But I mean, you've got to have a little bit of confidence when you're doing this. I'm 100% confident that there are teachers sleeping with their kids in this area, and I know that to be true. And
well, that's a great transition because we could talk about Karen Reed all day.
Yeah.
But
all right, we're gonna pop out of this because it is gonna transition. Gonna get into Jacob Papier and the migrant crisis. If anybody is interested in watching this full podcast, I dropped the link there in the chat. I encourage you to go over and watch that. I do want to segment. I want to go through the Canton Confidential episode the other night. Not really a lot of meat on the bone. I mean, things that we pretty much already know. But it was very interesting at the very, very end, Sue O'Connell's comments about Free Karen Reed supporters. And I want to get to that. And then I do want to get into the swearing of Colonel Jeffrey Noble that just got sworn in a couple of days ago, becoming the new colonel of the Mass State Police, and his comments about Enrique Delgado Garcia. And we'll play through that. So appreciate everybody being here. Please make sure to smash the like button. It does help out this stream and it helps out the channel. And let's play through the Canton Confidential episode that played the other night from Boston 10. All right, here we go. Let's rip through this one.
Now on Canton Confidential.
Man, transparency and answers.
With John O'Keefe's family still waiting for a verdict, Karen Reed prepares to once again defend herself in court.
Great,
right? We get you caught up right now on a special
that
edition
was fucking
of
JLR right there. I just noticed that. That fucking guy. I have the video of that.
We get you
right there. That fucking loser. Right there. I remember that fucking D-bag. I just realized that. That's fucking JLR. Where was that? I had the video of that. If anybody didn't see that. Where was that? I should have queued it up. Oh, right here. I got it. Remember this? Right here. That was on April 24th.
Spend the rest of your life in prison, Karen?
This
How's it
fucking
feel to be known
douchebag.
as a cop killer, Karen? How does it feel to be known as a cop killer? You're going to prison, aren't you? Right?
Morning.
Do you have any remorse, Karen, for what you did to the O'Keefe family? Do you have any remorse, Karen, for what you did to the O'Keefe family? Huh? Will you denounce your supporters harassing the O'Keefe family? Will you denounce your reporters harassing the O'Keefe family, Karen?
So I'm not going to play through the whole thing, but you get kind of the point of what this fucking loser did outside the courthouse to get his 15 minutes of fame. He likes to show up at court hearings and do these kinds of stunts out front to get people and viewers on his channel. And he harassed her like all the way into court that day. But I gave you a little bit of a taste of what he did, and I'm not going to play through the whole thing, but I just wanted to let everybody know. If you want to watch the whole video, it's on my channel. You just go right to the video section, look for Unhinged YouTuber, and you'll be able to watch it there. But we'll play through here
right now on a special edition of Canton.
I don't know why that guy wasn't arrested. Should have been arrested.
Karen Reed murder trial.
It's been 3 months since a mistrial was declared, and we have a lot of new developments to discuss. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Canton Confidential. I'm Jess Machado.
And I'm Corey Smith. So good to be with you, and it's good to have our legal analysts back with us to guide us through everything that has happened.
But before we unpack the recent fallout, we have to go back to the night that changed so many lives. January 28th, 2022.
To the fullest extent possible, stay off the roads.
With a blizzard in the forecast, Karen Reed and her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, were enjoying a night out before the snow fell. They started the night at C.F. McCarthy's in Canton before going to the nearby Waterfall Bar, where they met up with friends, some of whom are in law enforcement. When closing time came, the group decided to keep going back at the home of fellow Boston police officer Brian Albert and his wife Nicole. Hours later, it would be outside that home at 34 Fairview Road where John O'Keefe's body would be found.
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
Prosecutors say Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV and left him to die in the snow. Her attorneys say she's being framed. And the jury, after hearing from 74 witnesses and seeing more than 650 exhibits entered as evidence, remained deeply divided.
The Commonwealth has charged Reed with second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of a crash causing death. She is still facing those charges, despite a motion by her attorneys to have 2 of them thrown out.
That motion was denied by Judge Beverly Cannoni, but now the Commonwealth's highest court has agreed to hear Reed's appeal. That's just one of the major developments in the wake of the mistrial that happened in July.
It has been 3 months full of new twists and turns. You may have missed a few headlines, so here's a quick recap to get you caught up. Comes after a mistrial was declared.
Reed's legal team is asking the state's highest court to throw out 2 of the charges against her. The state's highest court will hear Karen Reed's appeal. A new prosecutor.
Yeah, so doing all the recaps now here. Oh, hey, look at that guy right there. Who's that handsome guy? Who's this handsome guy right here? Look at that. Who's that guy? And this Tommy. Who's this guy right here in the glasses?
Is leading the case against Karen Reed in her second murder trial.
It will call into question his credibility.
Named in a wrongful death lawsuit by O'Keefe's family members.
They are both related to the Karen Reed trial.
This is the Karen Reed movement. You know, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes the answer is no.
We'll do it next time.
Well, welcome back to the table. Who do we have? NBC Boston legal analyst Michael Coyne and Catherine Loftus, who remind me of the YouTube channel that you have.
TikTok, YouTube, all social media, a little bit of everything. Note my objection.
Note my objection. Thank you very much. See, 3 months off, and the brain goes down so much. And there is so much to talk about. Not just that Karen Reed is facing the criminal charges again, but that there is a civil suit also that's been filed, and it's been filed against her before we have a verdict, and that seems unusual. So Michael, will you start?
Yeah,
How
sure.
unusual is it for the O'Keefe family to file that civil lawsuit before we know whether or not criminally she's convicted?
It is unusual because normally the criminal case would proceed very quickly to trial, and so the civil case would be well behind that as a general matter. But you do have occasions, and it's certainly here where we've had a mistrial in the criminal case, where the civil suit and the criminal suit will proceed almost on a parallel tracks.
So we heard from Reed's attorneys that her Fifth Amendment rights could be an issue if the civil trial if the civil case went to trial before the criminal case. Why?
Well, it's an interesting because ultimately she's going to be subject to any deposition in a civil proceeding. And what her attorneys are concerned about is that if she were to undergo a deposition prior to her criminal trial, anything she says obviously can and will be used against her. What they want to do is prevent that, essentially kick the civil litigation until after the criminal trial is over to essentially protect that. What I think the plaintiff's attorneys were arguing in their opposition is that she has had the opportunity and has taken that opportunity to talk to a number of media outlets. So, it's a little bit of pick and choose, but ultimately any defendant has the right not to testify against themselves. So,
but what most people don't understand about the Fifth Amendment is, yes, she can still claim it in the civil suit because it potentially exposes her to criminal responsibility in the other case. But in a civil suit in Massachusetts, if in fact you choose to exercise the Fifth Amendment, there's a presumption that the answer would be harmful, and the jury can be told in the civil suit, the jury can be told that she's exercised the Fifth Amendment against testifying.
And that's the huge difference. And we know the bar is so much lower in a civil lawsuit, but that's the big difference, is that
absolutely
they would use that against her, whereas you can't in the criminal case.
Does it matter? So let's say the civil case happens after the second criminal trial. Does it matter if she's convicted or acquitted?
Yes.
What happens in the civil case?
Significantly, because if she's convicted in the criminal case, they will then try to use that through a legal principle called collateral estoppel. The issue has been decided. You were responsible for his death. Now let's just determine what the damages are. And so, yes, it will significantly change it.
Well, during the trial, we know Trooper Michael Proctor's behavior, some of his testimony, the investigation came under scrutiny. So if you need to refresh your memory, I think we all do, hear a few clips from his testimony.
She's a whack job. I text my wife waiting to lock this whack job up. Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
So this is a citizen. She's a woman. You were supposed to be objectively investigating. You weren't so much as objectively investigating her as objectifying her in those moments, correct?
Again, Mr. Jackson, it was a poor choice of words and a joke.
That comment was made frequently as a result of what was revealed in Proctor's testimony. He has been suspended without pay. And then just this week, in a separate murder case, their lawyers have requested more information about the investigation that he did on that case. In other words, there's more domino effect and fallout from that one testimony from that one trooper. Will we expect to hear or see more?
Yes,
You're
you will
welcome,
see
Sophie.
more. There's already other lawyers who are trying to defend their clients, and Proctor was involved in those investigations, and they want access to that material. They want to get an examination of his phone. There's no reason why they won't seek access to it, because at the end of the day, at best, it might be enough to help create reasonable doubt. So it's far from over.
Does the defense attorney see that and just pounce on it, knowing that it could impact their case?
Yes, any defense attorney who has a homicide case that involves any of these troopers, which, to be quite frank, as we have seen, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, their unit, the State Police Unit, CPAC, inside handles all the homicides. So it's actually a small, this handful of troopers deal with all of these homicides. Any other attorney who has a case other than Karen Reed and has one of these officers involved, particularly like Michael Proctor, sees this as a window of opportunity to essentially attempt to establish reasonable doubt or find something that could benefit their case.
He's not the only one in hot water here. We know Yuri Buchanan, Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert, also disciplined as a result of Proctor's testimony. Is there anybody else that needs to be maybe looking over their shoulders to say, I may be in trouble because of how I acted during this investigation?
I think they all have to be looking
Yeah,
over
they
their
all have
shoulders.
to.
Law enforcement did not cover themselves in glory on this.
Rebecca,
From
thank you for
the
$10.
standpoint of evidence collection to evidence
Eastern
preservation.
Washington
If you think
State.
about almost
Thank you.
all of the mistakes we heard of throughout the first trial.
Inversed videos,
anyone,
red solo cups.
Exactly. Anyone who touched some of that evidence should be concerned as to the level of professionalism that should have been displayed and what was actually displayed.
Wow.
What I said is that I always felt now that they kind of threw, Proctor out there, knowing what he did. So I felt like the strategy was, they know, I think from what and listen, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just kind of opining and giving my idea. They knew it was so bad for Proctor. Okay. I always felt that they knew it was so bad for him that he was going to get caught big time for what he said. Obviously, we had him on the stand. We heard everything that he said about Karen Reed. I think let's throw him out there. We'll bury him. That at least saves Tully, Buchanan, Garano, because if by some chance this has to go back to a retrial, the state can call at least those three troopers, and Proctor's obviously not going to get called by the state, but he's going to be called by the defense. I felt like they kind of threw Proctor to the wolves in the sense, which he should have been, because he deserves it in every fucking way. But let's just throw him out there so we can kind of shade and protect the other troopers that were involved in this. Let's let him be kind of the fall guy on this, so we have protection on the back end here. That's what I kind of always felt from this. And I talked about this the other night in my live, and actually the audience was agreeing with me a lot. I think that's really what they did here. I mean, and he's still not fired. He still isn't fired, still being paid. So that's kind of what I feel like they do. The prosecution cannot call that guy back to the stand, obviously. And now there's going to be problems in Brian Walsh's case, because now his lawyer is asking for information, reports, and whatnot, to do with Trooper Proctor, because he was the lead investigator on that case. And I found it very funny. And I did a compare and contrast months ago. And I actually dropped that on my Facebook page. I said, hey, if you haven't watched this live, it's good to go over because it compares the Brian Walsh's case and Karen Reed's case, compare and contrast. What are some of the leading things that Michael Proctor used in that investigation? Brian Walsh's Google searches. Well, why are you using that there, but you're not bringing in any of the Jen McCabe Google searches in Karen's case? That gets ignored. So if you haven't, go back and watch that. It's a great live. All right, let's keep playing through.
You two don't go anywhere. Okay. Michael and Catherine are going to stick around. And then a little later on Canton Confidential, our Sue O'Connell joins the conversation.
But first, who is the high-profile prosecutor taking over this case? We're going to introduce you to Hank Brennan.
And this guy, fucking Mr. Mob guy. All right, I'm going to fast forward to the commercials.
Pure Hope. Can afford to pay my bills. Canton Confidential. Now, barring any major developments, a second criminal trial of Karen Reed is less than 4 months away. And one of the biggest changes this time around is the appointment of a new prosecutor, Hank Brennan. He is well known, probably most famous for defending Whitey Bulger. What were your thoughts when you hear that he's going to take over the prosecution of this case?
I thought it was a bold and necessary move. I think Hank Brennan is a terrific lawyer. I think a fresh set of eyes on the case made a lot of sense. And I think the case will be tried a lot more simply than as it should have been the first time around. You know, I watched the Whitey Bulger trial when we covered it because federal courts require no cameras in the courtroom. So we actually had to be there. A lot of great lawyers in that room. Hank was the best lawyer in that courtroom throughout that trial.
So,
and no slight to all the other great lawyers in that room.
But he was that good.
He was very good.
And everyone had their eyes on that trial.
And they did, and it will be warmly received by the jury. And I think to a greater extent, perhaps, than Jackson, simply because his style is more consistent with what we would normally see around here. He's sort of an everyman approach. I would expect that the jury will warm to quite a bit.
Less LA.
Less LA. That's right, Casey.
NBC 10 Boston, we got a hold of his contract and we found out he's making roughly $250 an hour. But here's the thing, he can work as many hours as he wants. The ceiling gets capped at $75,000. And I think when with a record like that, experience like that, $75,000 struck us as a little bit low. So does that seem on track? And the other thing is, does the cap sort of tell you that they don't expect either a lot of work or a lot of time?
I think that it is a little bit on the low end from my perspective, but I mean, it's still $250 an hour. If you equal it out, it's probably about 300 hours or so. And as you said, it's capped at 75,000. What that indicates to me is that they're likely taking a different tact at it. It's not going to be, a 3-month trial. He's probably going to slash a lot of witnesses. There's not going to be as many exhibits. It's really going to be a different kind of presentation of the case. So, if you think that if it's a 3 or 4 week trial instead of a 3-month, we're at 100, 120 hours, and that leaves you, maybe 200 or so to prep. And I think that, we don't want, there was a lot of, sort of scuttlebutt around that he's going to be paid $1 million and all of this and where the tax dollars going. And I think I actually think it's in good faith that he's not being paid a ton of money to do this. He's being paid what he's worth, and there's a cap on it. So I think it seems fair.
Reasonable.
Reasonable.
No one will question his legal credentials, but why get a famous defense attorney to prosecute your case? What benefit is there to the DA's office, and maybe what pitfalls could there be?
He was previously a district attorney in Essex County, started up near me in Lawrence, then moved to Suffolk County as an assistant district attorney. So he's been on both sides of the equation. The idea here, I think, is you bring an experienced, fresh eye.
You bring the mob in.
I think that's what the district attorney decided to do, and I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that, as we know, a lot of defense attorneys were once former prosecutors, and that there's sort of a unique perspective that comes with having both prosecuted cases as well as defending cases. To me, bringing somebody who has, he's been on the defense side for quite some time now, come in to take a look at the case. This is an attorney who wouldn't be taking on a case like this if he didn't think he had the evidence to prove it. And so I think it gives a little bit of more credibility. And not that obviously there was a lot of discussion about Adam Lally's presentation, but seems like it was a little bit too close, a little bit, with the accusations of conspiracy and corruption, all these kinds of things. This takes it out of that. This is an outside attorney who's looking at it from an entirely different perspective. So I think it's a good move on part of the DA's office.
and we know it's not going to be, sounds like 3 months.
I hope not.
So that's where we stand right now. It's been so wonderful to see you both again. Thank you. And we know you're going to be returning
Yes,
with us.
many times.
Thanks for having us.
Coming up on Canton Confidential.
All right, let's fast forward here through the commercials. Sue O'Connell. Here we go.
AOT supports a law allowing access to IVF treatment.
It's been months since the trial has ended, and unless you are directly involved, most of us have sort of taken a breath and a step back rather than be immersed like we were during the trial itself. And you're laughing.
Caroline, thank you for the $20. I
you seen her
appreciate that.
social
Thank
media?
you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true, and but you're also hearing it still in the air, in the public, still attention after these months. I mean, summer's usually laid back, but this trial hasn't gone anywhere in terms of popularity of chit chat.
No, I mean, I think what's been happening is you have movements on both sides or all sides. I hate to say there's two sides because there's a lot of mishmash, and people are now creating communities and cultures that have very little to do with the death of John O'Keefe, bringing justice, or even if you think Karen Reed is guilty, Karen Reed. You know, if you're on social media, people are calling each other's names. They're criticizing the way they look. They're calling you stupid for not watching the entire every second of the trial. And then in Canton, you have all of these things happen that make you feel like you're in middle school. There are multiple reports to the Canton police that people have been throwing rubber ducks in front of people's houses and in front of the businesses, the D&E
Come on,
pizza,
Sue.
to make a statement in regard of Karen Reed's innocence, or having this phony currency, not real money, but just as a joke. And they're being charged with littering. They're being charged with witness intimidation, or at least being investigated for that. They might be charged. So there's just this crazy culture that has emerged that, again, has nothing to do with finding justice for John O'Keefe's death, about investigating it. If a lot of these people spent less time on social media and less time running around with these protests, and maybe writing letters to the district attorney, writing letters and calling the governor's office, calling the attorney general, voting in the election to try and change, finding someone to run against Morrissey if that's what you think should happen.
There is
Instead of
someone
this
running,
juvenile
Sue.
behavior,
Come on.
which takes up the police time, takes up the state police time. It's just chaos and crazy.
I'm sorry, I just can't believe rubber ducks entered into the conversation here.
We have seen it spill over into local government too. The audit of the department, you saw two people yelling at each other, a woman getting escorted out. Is that just sort of par for the course for where we are now?
Well, it is. I mean, it is, as we talk about all the time on that issue in politics. This is what it is. But you have people who are taking sort of the most extreme views, showing up and making the arguments. I talk to people in Canton. I lived in Canton for 10 years. Tons of people aren't going to the meetings because they don't want to deal with that craziness. They want their police department audited.
I know,
like a great
right, Drew?
idea.
We are.
But can't you just get behind the idea that we should be embracing the O'Keefe family for their loss? We should be caring for those children who have been orphaned.
We
if
do.
you think that Karen Reed, I mean, there are problems with the investigation, support the Karen Reed movement to try and get some investigations into the district attorney and the state police. And remember, John O'Keefe did nothing wrong. And
We never said he did.
All right, so there are several
So
adjacent.
you're way off, Sue. You're way off. And I think that's like the whole thing that everybody feels like has gotten lost in all of this. Is that, oh, we've lost John in all this. John gets lost. John is not lost in any of this. Why do you think we're fighting? Why do you think we're here? Why do you think what this movement is about? It's about a murdered police officer. And then his girlfriend being framed. We're fighting for John. We're fighting for Karen. We're fighting for the people that have been framed by these players, the outside entities, the investigators, the police. I mean, do you not see it? Can you explain? And I love to ask Sue, give me your thoughts on Enrique Delgado Garcia. Yeah, nothing going on there. Nothing shady going on at all. Can you answer for that? Can you answer for Sandra Birchmore? Yeah, nothing shady going on about that. Oh, finally, we finally get an answer. Finally, there's arrests. Wake up. There's something majorly going on in Massachusetts, and it all needs to be cleaned up. And who the hell is going to do it? It doesn't seem like anybody is, but if we can get out and stand out and let people know about it, it is a good thing that we're out there doing this, because maybe that we're bringing awareness to all of this. Sue O'Donnell, when there are when there are elections, people will realize this. Hey, maybe those people that have been in power of these organizations need to go, and we need to get fresh people in there to clean this up. A fresh look, a fresh start. So there's nothing wrong what we've been doing. There's nothing wrong with talking about this. There's nothing wrong with bringing awareness to this. It's not going to stop. It'll stop when this all gets cleaned up and the major players in all of this go to jail for what they did. All right, let's keep playing through.
To Karen Reed. One of them, witness intimidation charges against Aiden Carney, also known as Turtle Boy. His lawyer sent a letter to the DA last month making some allegations. Michael, I know you had a chance to review the letter. Anything stand out to you, or is this just sort of par for the course for how these things work out when I'm defending my client?
Well, it's how this works out in this case, as Sue just pointed out. No, I think a lot of it is posturing. The fact is that case ultimately is going to need to be tried. Right now, they're fighting about various discovery that they each feels that they're entitled to get, and that the government, and they have been too slow in turning over some of that information. But at the end of the day, will there be a case there that likely will go forward? I think the answer is yes. And I think the Commonwealth will take quite seriously these questions about witness intimidation.
All right, so many things to monitor as we continue to move forward.
No, and John O'Keefe, Sue, thank you so much. At the center of it, there are all these spokes that come off of it.
And justice is at the center of it.
Of course it is.
When we come back and look at what's next for the Karen Reed murder trial.
Stay with us. You're watching Canton Confidential.
All right, I'm going to fast forward here. I think that's it. That was, all right, right here.
Welcome back to Canton Confidential. We mentioned earlier in the show that Karen Reed is still facing 3 charges for the murder of John O'Keefe. She's fighting to have 2 of those charges dismissed. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court is expected to hear arguments sometime in November.
As of right now, Reed's second criminal trial is set for January 27th, and it's very hard not to pay attention to the fact that that is just 2 days before the 3rd anniversary of John O'Keefe's death.
Yeah, before we get there, though, no doubt there are probably going to be more twists and turns in this case as it approaches. But we want to remain clear about who is at the center of this story, and that is Officer John O'Keefe.
He was called JJ by his loved ones. Officer John O'Keefe was a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department. He's been described as a loving friend, brother, and uncle. When his sister and brother-in-law died just months apart, he became guardian for his young niece and nephew. And we have to remember, John O'Keefe was just 46 years old.
Right, and as you mentioned earlier, important to keep him centered at all of this.
Right, and justice for John O'Keefe, however that looks, that the family gets it.
All right, well, that is all.
I think people like trying to pull this away and be like, oh, you know, they leave John out of this. No, because you're hearing that from the family. You're hearing that from the O'Keefes. John has never been lost in any of this. Why do you think we're doing it? You know, and I just went into my diatribe a couple of minutes ago. I'm not going to go back into it, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right, let's watch the new swearing in of Colonel Jeffrey Noble the other day from one Maura Healy, and he will speak about Enrique Delgado Garcia. If you can do me a favor before we go on, just please smash the like button. I would appreciate it. And we'll play this out to end the show tonight. Thank you all so much that have contributed tonight to the show. Again, 25% of all donations will go back to Karen Reed's defense fund. We'll make that tonight. And then we're going to have a little race at the end. Little race at the end for a free Karen Reed hat. The blue on white with the small patch. It's actually a dope hat. I wish I got one of these. But we'll give this away tonight to one lucky viewer. Got to be here. at the end when we run the race to win. All right, let's play through this.
Police superintendent is set to be sworn in by Governor Maura Healey.
To the women and men of the
Yeah, and we just skip through. Here we go.
Support the Constitution thereof. And will support the Constitution thereof. So help me God. So help me God. I, Jeffrey D. Noble,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
all
the duties incumbent on me
all the duties incumbent on me
as superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police,
as superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
agreeably
agreeably
to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
and the laws of this Commonwealth.
and the laws of this Commonwealth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I,
Surprise me, Samantha.
Jeffrey D. Noble,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you. I need that hat. Get me in. Thank you. Thanks for the $10. Appreciate that. We're almost at our $50 marker for Karen tonight. It'd be great to get $50 over to her. At about 41 right now with the 25%. I like to at least try to make it 50. A lot of shuffling around here. Let's get to the...
Thank you, Colonel Noble, for your commitment to serve our state and our people as the new superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police. Thank you to your family for being here. We're joined
Michelle, thank
by
you for
your
the
wife,
10.
Sarah,
Appreciate
your
that.
children, Jeff, Lauren, and Grady, your parents, George and Cynthia, and sisters, Sarah and Susan, and their families. Good morning.
Carrie, thank you so
Lieutenant
much.
Governor and I
$20.
are proud to stand here today, joined by public safety leaders in our administration, Deputy Secretary for Public Safety and Security, Sue Terry, Undersecretary for Law Enforcement, Gina Kwan, members of the State Police Command staff, Lieutenant Colonel Pinkham, Lieutenant Colonel Sear, Lieutenant Colonel Connors, Lieutenant Colonel Shoemaker. This is an important moment for Massachusetts because the state police are an essential organization and agency. Law enforcement is foundational to government.
Scooter, thank you.
Public safety is what makes everything we do possible. We're grateful in Massachusetts to be one of the safest states in the entire country, including the state with the lowest rate of gun violence. It's a leading reason.
Wow, big super chat. Jamie, wow, thank you so much. $50 super chat. $50 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, keep this movement going, grow this base, grow this channel, cover other stories, other trials, other human condition stories, whatever it is. That's what I want this platform to be. And, you know, I put a message out there the other day, and I don't know if you all had the opportunity to watch it, but I'll drop that link at the end of the live today. You know, I hit a year on my channel covering the Karen Reed case. And I have to say that if it was not for the Karen Reed supporters, the Free Karen Reed supporters, if it was not for Turtle Boy supporting me, you know, helping me out, giving me the opportunity to go over and help out in his channel, being embraced by the community around me, being embraced by other creators and people that follow this movement, you know, I would not be in this position today. And I am so grateful for everything that has happened in my life. And I said this the other day. I have gained friendships. I have lost friendships. I have gained relationships. I have lost relationships. My life over the last year has completely changed. A lot of great things have happened, and there's been some heartache and some emotions. And it does happen when life changes. But I'm definitely becoming a different person. I'm definitely becoming a different person. And you all here within this circle, I would say you're my, the people that watch me the most have changed my life. Sincerely, have changed my life. And I am very appreciative of that. And I hope that you follow and continue my journey as this channel goes on and it grows. And I get it. People will come along for certain content or certain trials or what it may be, and they'll move on. Subscribers come and go. But the family that I have built in the Free Karen Read movement will never leave. And everybody that I've had the opportunity to talk to on the street, around the courtroom, in this chat, I will remember all of you forever, because you're my base. Yeah, I was doing this for a year before this, covering the Idaho 4 trial case, not trial. I will be covering that when it does happen in 2025, if it does happen. We had Chelsea Grimm, we had the Timepiece Gentleman. Just thinking back to some of my old cases and trials that I followed, and we found here, we navigated, my path navigated me into this direction. And again, I just never would have thought that I would have all the opportunity of the great people that I've had to meet, having this ability to build out this studio, having the people that have sat in those chairs, the people that have signed that signature board over here. I couldn't be more thankful. And I am completely blessed. And I want this to keep moving on. I think we have a very powerful thing that we can do here. It's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. But I really am very excited about the growth and the possibilities of what could be here at LTL Media. And again, thank you all. I really do appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing on here, and then we'll wrap up the show for tonight.
Reason why we were recently ranked #1 for quality of life and our ability to have a thriving and innovative economy. And it's thanks to many people, residents, legislators, district attorneys and their teams, all the parents, teachers, coaches, mentors, and so many more who create opportunity for young people. But I want to remind and underscore today that it's the men and women of law enforcement who work every day, every minute on the job to keep people safe. It's their skill and courage, their vigilance and dedication. It's their mission and their calling.
Listen, and Scott, I appreciate this. Scott says, Brian, you bring an angle. You are yourself. People see that and respect it. If you aren't their cup of tea, they're free to leave, and that's fine. I know who I am. I know who I am as a person. I know what I have to give to this world. I know that, and I've known that for a very, very long time. And I'm sure that you all know who you are too. I'm not for everybody. I look at things differently. I approach things differently. I might not be as aggressive or as abrasive as people would want me to be, but I am who I am, and I can get loud, and I do talk loud, and I can get crazy sometimes, but this is me. And that's why people come here, because they enjoy the way that I do things here on my platform. They enjoy the way that I present things. I think I do a hell of a lot of research into the things that I do and present it the way that I show it through my eyes. And if you can relate to that, that's all I want people to do here. Relate to it, come back, hang out in the chat, give us your thoughts, agree, disagree. It's fine. I love disagreeing. I a couple lives back, I think Maz was in the studio and we said something and we didn't agree on it. It was like, wow, we actually didn't agree on something the first time. But that's who I am. This is who I am. And I'm not going to change. And again, I think that we have pretty extraordinary things that we can do here. And I enjoy doing this. I love doing it. It's my passion. Not a fucking hobby. This is my passion. And like I said, I think I love it. I love everybody being here. I love everybody being here. Let me just get to this really quick. Karina, thank you so much. Can we get an evacuations fund started to find Chloe and the missing shoe in the CA's former pool? P.S. You're the best. I appreciate that. And thank you. Maybe we'll have to do that. All right, let's try to get through the rest of this so we can run this race because we are coming up on 2 hours. It's getting late here on a Sunday night. I appreciate y'all being here. That was a good one. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let me add this and then we'll get the chat. We'll go down in the chat here and go from there. That was good. Excuse me. All right, Karina, we added you in the running there at the end. Okay, let's play
and we
the
are grateful.
Here.
It's hard work.
Oh wow, I didn't even see this.
Sacrifices.
Robbie,
their families make deep sacrifices.
thank you so much. $100
Last
super
week,
chat. You didn't have to do
some of
that.
you joined
I appreciate
us
that.
for the Massachusetts Law
Wow, thank you. I
Enforcement
appreciate
Memorial
that, Robin Z.
Foundation
Wow.
annual event here at the State House. We
Thank
read
you.
the
I
names
appreciate that.
of the fallen, the names of troopers and officers who served through history here in Massachusetts and died in the line of duty. Then and now we pray for their families, including the family of
thank you,
Trooper
Stephanie. I love
Enrique
Melody.
Delgado Garcia
Great.
and the law enforcement community.
And
he
I
was
am
devoted
I'm
to.
following my dream. Thank you.
And we commit to ensuring that we are providing police with the tools, the training, the leadership, and the support they need to do their jobs and come home safely. Public safety is not an issue where we can ever say our work is done. I know this well as somebody who served as Attorney General for 8 years and worked closely with the state police. We work continually to collaborate across agencies, lead in best practices, and build relationships of trust with our communities. We work especially with communities that suffer disproportionately from violence. And we work to get ahead of trends and threats, which is why we created the hate crime unit in the MSP just last year when we saw identity-based threats and incidents on the rise. I want to express my deep and heartfelt gratitude to Colonel Jack Mon. Colonel Jack Mon answered the call nearly 2 years ago to step forward and serve. He did so with distinction, with steady leadership during this transition time. And I am grateful to Colonel Mon for his work and for continuing his work in this transition time with now Colonel Noble. We are committed to providing,
Thank you,
I want
Penny.
you to know, we're committed to providing state-of-the-art, responsive, respectful, community-centered policing. And in Colonel Noble, we have a...
I just, listen, I'm going to stop this really quick. I just laugh when Maureen Healy talks. We're committed to do all these things. We're committed to have transparency. We're committed to have the best policing. The Mass State Police troopers are it's a very important, vital organization in our state. And it is. But it's dirty. There's a hell of a lot of cleanup that needs to happen. She talks like it's this, wonder ball of thing. It's like everything is so clean and it's so on the surface. There's so many things going on in Mass State Police right now. I mean, I can't even count the things that are going on.
Leader. He has dedicated his career to public service, rising to the highest levels of the New Jersey State Police and delivering results on some of the most pressing issues of the day and that face law enforcement.
Yeah, you're right.
He is a principled, respected leader who who is widely recognized for his integrity, his compassion, and his ability to bring people together. Colonel Noble is the right leader for this agency at this moment in time. I'm confident that he is the leader that our hardworking state police and the people of Massachusetts deserve. And I'm now pleased to introduce Colonel Noble to say a few words.
Jody, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Let's make that $25. $25.
Good morning. Thank you, Governor Healy.
Thank
I'm
you,
incredibly
Jody. That was
honored
very sweet.
and
Welcome
humbled
new members.
to stand before all of you. I took the oath today a short while ago with a profound sense of responsibility and deep commitment to serving the Commonwealth and the Massachusetts State Police with the highest level of integrity, dedication, and
Thank you, Laura.
professionalism. I want you to know that I come to this role with immense gratitude for the many people who have supported me throughout my professional journey.
I love
With
Melanie. I
immense
respect the hell out of her.
For the men and women who of the Massachusetts State Police who devote themselves every day to its mission.
Mandy.
And with the immense focus on addressing the challenges of this moment. My 3 decades of law enforcement, from a summer police officer on Nantucket to the deputy superintendent of the New Jersey State Police, have prepared me for this role. First and foremost, I also want to thank my family for their support. 30 years in law enforcement is a long time, and it's not possible without a dedicated team who also believe in the mission of public service. My wife, my children, my parents, my sisters, thank you for the support along the way. I want to thank Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, the team at the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security for your trust and faith in me. I will work tirelessly to live up to that trust and ensure that the values and priorities of the Healy-Driscoll administration are upheld in all that we do. I'm eager to get to work and serve this great state to the best of my ability. To the women and men of the Massachusetts State Police, you are the backbone of this great organization and essential to everything we do moving forward.
So those aren't cards. I'll tell you what that is, Steph. So what happens is during these press conferences, you actually have the press in the room and they have digital cameras. So what they're doing is they're doing what's called rapid fired shooting. So they're hitting their shutter button on their camera and it's blasting about 20 to 30 photos, or probably less than 20, probably about 10 to 20 photos at a time. So as they're pressing that button, it's rattling off shots. That's what that is. That's the press corps. I know that because I've been in, I do a lot of photography and I've done a lot of photography. And what they're doing is the shutter is acting very fast, capturing those photos because there's probably movement in the room. So when he's moving, the camera's able to catch him, while he's moving. You'll hear that a lot during press conferences and stuff like that. No, it's great for you all to know that. So, I used to go, what the hell is that sound? And, figured it out what it was. So no, it's a great question. Really, really great question. I want to answer it. I wouldn't have pulled it up if I didn't want to answer it, but good stuff. All right, let's get through this.
Every day, you put on the uniform aware that the challenges and dangers are great, but knowing that the reward of serving the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is greater. I will support you in every way I can, ensuring you have the resources, the training, and the leadership needed to succeed in our mission. I also want to gratefully acknowledge the unwavering support of Colonel Jack Maughan in this transition, as well as his decades of service to not only this department,
See
but
that?
our country
Everybody
as
learned
a
something new
United
tonight.
States Marine. Colonel Maughan is a gentleman whose personal care and concern for the women and men of this job in this state cannot be overstated. I admire his kindness, professionalism, and work ethic, and hope our members will continue to emulate those values in all that we do. To the many state and local officials, community leaders, and Massachusetts residents, I look forward to our partnership, collaboration. Public safety is not just about enforcing the law. That's only one small part. It's about building relationships, creating trust, earning, and most importantly, maintaining that trust, and working together towards a safer, more united community. I look forward to working alongside you as we shape the future of the Massachusetts State Police. As we look toward our future, I want to be clear. The Massachusetts State Police will deliver excellent police services build and maintain public trust, and enforce the law with fairness,
Oh, thank you so
compassion,
much.
equity, transparency, and accountability. Trust between our department and the community must be strong
Thank you.
and unwavering. But that accountability and that trust starts with me. I must first earn your trust.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm committed and have the resolve to do whatever it takes to earn and maintain that trust. I'm confident that our department values will reflect those of the communities that we serve, values of justice, respect, service. We will proactively address concerns and foster our relationship with the communities we serve every single day. Public safety is also about building partnerships with our stakeholders. I will approach my new role by listening and learning from the department and our many partners. Together, we will develop strategies to enhance public safety, adopt innovations and meaningful reforms, and continuously build upon the relationships with our many stakeholders.
Okay.
As Colonel, the health and safety and well-being of our troopers will always be one of my top priorities. We will focus on the physical and mental health of our men and women of the state police to
Stephanie,
include
thank
our
you so much.
outstanding civilian professional staff
We'll make
and
that a
support, because I
$5.
believe that a
$5.
department is only as strong as its people. And that I will commit myself that you have the resources and tools necessary to carry out your duties effectively and with the respect that you deserve. As we move forward, we face many challenges, but we also have tremendous opportunities. We have the chance as an agency to effectively reduce crime, embrace innovation, and implement best practices to meet the evolving needs of our Commonwealth.
Yeah, real quick. We need like 1,000 likes to be able to run the race tonight. If you haven't smashed that like button on the bottom, it's free. It takes 2 seconds. Just go down there. You see a little thumbs up. Hit on that. I'd like to get to at least where are we at right now? Let's do this. There's got to be, all right, we're at 697. I'd love to get to at least 800 before we wrap up the show, and 1,000 would be great. A couple more minutes here, about another 10 minutes or so on this presser, and then we're going to run the race at the end and for a free Karen Reed hat. BOMA hat. Let's go.
Exceed societal expectations and achieve our legislative mandates. I'm excited about the future, and we will build it together. I am committed to leading this department with integrity and to working tirelessly to ensure our department members, MSP staff, and our communities can be proud of the work that we do each and every day. Thank you to everyone here today for your
Hey, I got a
support,
bald head.
your trust,
I got
and
the
your
approved
belief
haircut too.
in what we can achieve together. I look forward to this journey with all of you, and I am ready to get to work. Thank you.
We need to get to work. We need answers. First order of business, find out what happened to Enrique Delgado Garcia. That could be your first order of business, sir.
Thank you. We're happy to take any questions on topic.
AJ, thank you so much. $2. Thank you.
When hiring and when selecting the colonel, were you not concerned about some of the controversies and complaints that were happening at the New Jersey police state in terms of discrimination allegations and whatnot?
Hard-hitting
Were you not
question.
concerned about that? Did you look into that? And how did you come to determine that he was the best candidate?
Well, this was the subject of an extensive search process that included a renowned panel on our search committee. Everything was reviewed, and we had the opportunity to review personally everything. And Lieutenant Governor and I are quite confident in Colonel Noble and the job that he will do. He has a terrific record of proven leadership, including at the New Jersey State Police. And I know that that will carry through here in Massachusetts.
Governor, what did you give the colonel as his mandate? What do you expect him to do at the state police? Did you tell him that this is an agency that has been where we all know it has been for quite some time? Did you tell him this thing needs a total overhaul? What's the mandate you gave him?
Well, the mandate, the responsibility, really, and I think those of us who serve and those of us who accept an oath, as you just saw administered earlier, understand that our service is to our country, our service is to our state, our service is to our residents, the constituents that we serve. I think the charge of all who work in government and certainly the state police is to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward every day to best serve and protect the well-being of our neighborhoods, of our communities, of our residents. You heard that pledge today from Colonel Noble. I know it is one shared across Massachusetts State Police. I think it's also appropriate to say that this is a large organization. Certainly, I have been around for a bit, both as head of the Civil Rights Division in the Attorney General's office, and then for 8 years as Attorney General, and now as governor. And I know that with any large organization or agency, this is a moment of transition. This is an opportunity for us to
A major opportunity.
make sure that we are supporting what is working and that leadership is empowered to further support what is working and to look hard with a fresh set of eyes at challenges before us and take whatever steps are necessary to address that. And I know that Colonel Noble brings that perspective and that attitude to this new appointment. We look forward to working with him.
Colonel, this is a department, as you just heard, that has long dealt with scandals. What are your priorities heading into this? What reforms do you want?
All right, take note, people. This is a night. I love the heart. Listen. Mainstream media. I kind of love you in this interview right now. You're hitting some hard hit questions here right out of the box. They're not softball questions. So listen, everybody might not agree with me, but I kind of get to give it up to them right now. They're hitting them hard. So I'll give it to them. Let's listen what his priorities are going to be here. Let's pin this up on your board.
This is a department, as you just heard, that has long dealt with scandals. What are your priorities heading into this? What reforms do you want to put in place? What does your first few months look like? Can you let us know?
Like he shit his pants.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. I think the most important function for me right now is to be in listening mode and to extend myself proactively, to go out and talk to the stakeholders and listen, not just to the folks that are going to tell me all the great things about the state police, which I have a great bank of knowledge for the great things. I've worked alongside the Massachusetts State Police for many years, but also to listen to the concerns. And how will I address the issues? Well, based on the responses and based on the issues that I raised, I will work collectively with the command staff, with the staff from EOPS, and we will aggressively address the challenges that we see. Where there's things that we're doing great, we'll continue to do great. We'll build upon that and expand. And where there are areas where we can improve, we absolutely will.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
New Jersey about the complaints that were faced there.
In law enforcement, after a long career, I approach personnel decisions. I approach the morale of an agency under one driving belief that a healthy organization is one in which the men and women that serve in that department in any capacity feel that they belong, feel that they are supported, feel that they can come and work in an agency regardless of their background, their experience. But once they become, in this case, a Massachusetts state trooper, they've earned that right, that privilege and honor for a member of our civilian staff. And in doing so, I work tirelessly to ensure that we have a culture in the Massachusetts State Police that is built on equity and inclusion and respect for all and an opportunity for all and a fair level playing ground to not only succeed and have the resources and the support, but to exceed professionally, to have professional development. That is how I approach the morale of New Jersey as well as here in Massachusetts. And I will intend on working with the staff and working tirelessly towards that.
Colonel, have you been briefed on the Delgado Garcia investigation?
All right. I love it. Let's go. Let's watch his reaction here. Enrique Delgado Garcia, Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia question. Let's hear what he has to say. Let's hear what he has to say. Has he been briefed? And I want to watch the body language. Let's watch the body language of Maura Healey during this as well, too. All right, let's play through this if we have to back it up. I want to watch everybody's faces up there on this panel right now. Here we go.
Investigation.
Let's go back a little bit more.
Member of our civilian staff. And in doing so,
Yes,
I work
thank you for
tirelessly to
coming.
ensure that we have a culture in the
Or
Massachusetts
being a
State
member for a
Police
month.
that is built on equity and
All right, here we
inclusion
go.
and respect for all and opportunity for all and a fair level playing ground to not only succeed and have the resources and the support, but to exceed professionally, to have professional development.
Watch the faces.
That is how I approach the morale of New Jersey as well as here in Massachusetts. And I will intend on working with the staff and working tirelessly towards that.
Colonel, have you been briefed on the Delgado Garcia investigation?
I am certainly aware of it. That is going to be a more deeper briefing will occur in short order. So to answer your question, no, I have not received an official briefing on that, but I will in very short order after this.
I'm telling you, major shit going on in that. That guy was that guy was beat. We would have heard something by now. And this is the prolonging it is starting to scare me a little bit here. And I have the family reaching out to me. They've been reaching out to me. Something happened. Big time. This is not a training exercise accident. And I'm going to be pissed if this gets swept under the rug. And I know you all will too. But big time.
See professionally, to have professional development.
Listen again.
That is how I approach the morale of New Jersey as well as here in Massachusetts. And I will intend on working with the staff and working tirelessly towards that.
Colonel, have you been briefed on the Delgado Garcia investigation?
Take a deep breath.
I am certainly aware of it. That is going to be a more deeper briefing will occur in short order. So to answer your question, no, I have not received an official briefing on that, but I will in very short order after this.
As it pertains to the academy, what's your first action that you want to take?
We absolutely are going to do a complete review. I will work together
You think
with
so,
the staff,
Clarissa?
command staff of the Massachusetts State Police, of EOPS, of the Governor's Office, and what that review looks like. We will come together, and we will be transparent about that. Certainly.
Last question.
Colonel, should we start to top down?
That's our governor.
Talk to bottom house cleaning. Is there going to be a new command staff? And is that going to filter down to the entire agency? Just a new state police, new faces, new ways of doing things, everything different?
Yeah, I do want to be clear that I come into this with an extraordinarily high level of confidence and respect for the women and men of the Massachusetts State Police. Again, I've worked alongside the men and women of Massachusetts State Police for many years, both on blue sky days as well as days when we had to work together to collaborate on issues impacting public safety. I've come into this role with that profound level of respect. That said, I do look forward to meeting with the command staff and all the staff over the next several weeks and or months. And I look forward to building a command staff that is prepared and equipped to carry out the mission that you heard earlier today.
What about this, wanting to get you out of retirement and then take this position? I mean, you had already retired. Was there an incentive there? Is it getting two pensions? I mean, what is really the draw?
That's easy for me, sir. I'm a career public servant. My heart is in the right place. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. I'm a career public servant. I'm honored to serve. I'm honored for this privilege. And that's the only reason that I'm here, because I believe I can serve in this role. Thank you.
About the death of the police recruit Delgado, are there steps that you think you can take to help prevent that situation from coming up again or being repeated?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's important here is that I have long called for, and it is happening now, an investigation, and that is happening through the Attorney General's office. And then separately, one of the things I've asked Colonel Noble to do and to undertake is an independent review of academy policies and training. We want to make sure that we are doing things here in Massachusetts in the best possible way. And so, as I said earlier, as with any transition, and certainly on the heels of the horrific tragedy of the death of Enrique, that is appropriate to do, to make sure that that review is undertaken. And, I'm confident that Colonel Noble will do an excellent job in doing that, separate and apart from the investigation done and being done by Attorney Meyer. But, look, as I speak on behalf of myself and the Lieutenant Governor, we are an administration that from the outset has been committed to diversity and inclusion. And I think you see that reflected in our administration. And I know that having reviewed Colonel Noble's history, his proven and extensive years of.
She's moving away from it. She's moving away from it. She kind of went in, answered a little bit, but now she's drifting off. I'm going to tell you, major shit went down. The thing that they're afraid of is that the conclusion of this, when we all find out that guy was beat to death, and I'm sorry I keep saying that guy, that we find out that Enrique was beat to death, and he probably was, that this is going to cast major shade on the Mass State Police Academy. It may get shut down. And there is fear there, because you know why? Money. Money, 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 money. Money, money. Or you find out that one of their recruits were killed there. Do you think that people are going to want to go to that training facility and sign up and become a Mass State Police trooper? No. This is going to be if you thought all the scandals were there before, if you thought all those scandals were there before, wait till this one comes out. But I'm telling you, and I have to keep, please, mainstream media, because I don't have the opportunity. I don't have the opportunity to be able to get into these pressers and ask the tough questions. You need to keep the story alive in the media. It cannot go away. But if you're not going to do the job, then the independent media channels like myself will continue to talk about Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia until we have answers. And I've already sent emails out. I've already sent a FOIA request. I get it. It's an active investigation. I'm probably not going to get anything. I know a lot of people shit on me about that the other day. But hey, I can still ask the questions. I can still keep this out there in the public. I can still let them know that our eyes are on this investigation. We have every right to do that. And if I have to do it on a weekly, a bi-weekly basis, I will continue to do that. I will continue to send in and ask questions. We want transparency. The family deserves transparency and accountability. Enrique didn't ask for this. He was following his dream of becoming a Massachusetts State Police officer. He wanted to be a trooper and serve the community. From what I am learned about him, he seemed like a very nice, genuine guy. Wanted to do the job, uphold the law, do things the right way with the badge. But please, I encourage, please continue to talk about this. Everybody needs to talk about this. All right, let's finish this up. One more minute on this here, and then we'll run the race here.
You see that reflected in our administration. And I know that having reviewed Colonel Noble's history, his proven and extensive years of leadership and experience at the New Jersey State Police, he is going to be a colonel to further and to reflect those values that are very important to us. And our mission is to make sure that he is empowered and the team is empowered to make changes that need to be made, evaluate where we are right now, and support the men and women of the state police with the resources and the training. You asked earlier about the focus, the charge, making sure that people are receiving the right training, the right education, keeping up with best practices in an evolving and complicated area. When you think about the evolution of technology, you think about so many things that are making and contributing to the work of law enforcement being different than it was not just 30 years ago, 5 years ago. So that's the charge that Colonel Noble has, that I've given and that he is undertaking. And I'm confident and I trust in his leadership and what he will do for the Massachusetts State Police. And we look forward to working with him. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, that's it there. All right, everybody. Let's do this before we run the race. Sophie, if you're still in the room, what was the total? So I want to get a total on that. I think we're close to about $100 for Karen's defense fund tonight. And we're going to spin the wheel or run the race for a BOMA, free Karen Reed hat, the blue on white with the pink patch. Good stuff. And what do we want to race tonight? Let's see. Let's see. We get a total before we head out. Thank you all so much for being here. If you do me a favor, if you haven't already, free right down there to the comment section. If you can smash the like button, I want to try to get at least 1,000 likes on this. We're close. 800 would be great before we leave. Maybe we're gonna raise zombies tonight. Sophie, still in the room. Just wondering what the total was before we head out. Total's 408. All right, so that 408. Let's do 25% of that. Puts us at 102. We'll round it up to 105. We'll round it up to 105. We're going to do zombies tonight. Maybe we'll, God, this doesn't screw up. All right, cool. We're going to do 60 seconds tonight. We'll do a 60-second race. We're going to race zombies tonight. All right. Everybody ready? Want to be a cute zombie? All right. Let's do zombies tonight. Let me get this thing going here. See if I can start this. Oh, go back. No, that's not what I want. Hang on one second. All right, I think we're set. All right, here we go. I'm gonna run zombies. It's an app, Nick. It is an app, and I can send it over to you. I think I pay like $5 a month or something. It's called online/stopwatch.com. And I will shuffle these up, shuffle them up again. And we're going to run some zombies. All right, you ready? 1 minute. We're going to get a race. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I got to hit the go button here. How the hell? I got to hit the start button. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Zombie race. And let's see. Michelle Kincaid out to a large jump. We've got Karina there. Lorna Henderson's going. Rebecca Art's in the lead at the moment. And the zombies are racing. All right, we got Jennifer Rebecca Art out ahead. And anybody game. Michelle's there. Michelle is in second place. We might have a surge here at the end. That's usually what happens, but Jennifer is owning this race right now. Piney Woods coming up from behind. Looking good. Oh, we got a rush by Piney Woods. Dropping back. 15 seconds left in the race. I can't see the names. They're so long. 10 seconds. We might have a surge here. Jamie pulling out ahead. Jamie looking like she's going to win. Piney Woods trying to make the run. Jamie is the winner. Congratulations, Jamie. I love it. It is random. It is random. I did Ducks last live. Jamie, congratulations. Are you here in the room to claim your prize? I hope you are. Because if not, I'm going to have to rerun this. That is the deal. You got to be here. Let's see if she's here. A lot of zombies tonight. Let's see if Jamie's in the room. If she is, let's see. She should be here. That was the deal. You got to be here to the end. Let's give her a couple of seconds. We'll give it a minute or so. If not, we'll race again. We'll get a winner. Tried to tag Jamie, but no tag showed she may be left. Oh, no. I hope she's still here. Or maybe you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be fair. I'll just hold on to it because she does come in the chat a lot. I want to be fair to her. I do have another hat, so we can run another race. I'm out of breath watching. We'll just wait a couple more minutes, see if Jamie's in the room. If not, she does come in the chat a lot. And then, I'll make sure I get that out to her because she did send it a quite substantial super chat. And I don't want her to miss out on the hat. If everybody feels that that's fair, I want to at least get it to her. And if not, she doesn't want to claim it, then, we'll rerun it. I think that's fair. I'm creeping up. That was a good one. Yeah, I think Jamie should have the hat. Okay, that's good. Everybody's okay. That's fair. So we'll do this. I'll wait for Jamie next time. I'll hold this hat for her. So Jamie, if you watch this on replay, this is your hat. What you need to do is just reach out to me at letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get you to verify it. And then I have another hat, so we'll give another one away, and I'm gonna have some LTL hats soon, so we'll give some of those away, and I'll make sure that Jamie gets the hat. So we'll wait for that. Listen, great live tonight. I'll be honest with you. I was out of complete energy before I did this live tonight. I wasn't really feeling it, and I got reinvigorated. We kicked off the show with Lauren, which was great. We went through the Jess Machado podcast into the Canton Confidential, and then obviously the sworn in of Colonel Jeffrey Noble at the end. So really great live. Thank you all so much. Tomorrow night is going to be a very special live. I'm going to have one of my new friends on the panel. Collier Landry is going to be here with me at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he's going to tell us about his life story. And you're all going to want to be here. He actually was starred in a documentary called A Murder in Mansfield. That is about his dad murdering his mother, and he will tell us that story. He took the stand at 11 years old and basically took the stand against his father. It's going to be a very interesting live. I cannot wait to share the stage with him and have that conversation and share his story with all of you. So please, if you can be here, I think it's going to be a immensely interesting live. Collier's such a great guy. I've gotten to know him a lot since we connected in June of this year. And we did a recorded live, and he does plan on getting that out soon. And we actually talked about the Karen Reed case, and I will ask him some questions about that. But I want to hear more about his life story. So it's going to be a great live. And he's done TED Talk, and he's been on like all the major networks. He had a very successful podcast. He does really well for himself. He's an independent filmmaker, and I'm very excited to spend a little time with him. So please, if you can. Oh, good. We got 800 likes. Awesome. Good job, everybody. And that's going to end tonight's live. Oh, by the way, we're going to give Karen $105 back to her defense fund. So what I'm going to do is I'll make that donation when I go off air, and then I post up the receipt on my Facebook page and my YouTube post or community page. We'll get that up there. So thank you all so much for all of the donations that came in, all the Go Squad members that could be here, all the moderators. I love all of you. And tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, set your calendars, be here for Collier Landry. It's going to be a great time to hear his story and share the panel with him. I'm truly honored that he's going to come here and do that. And I cannot wait. So hopefully you all can't wait either. I love all of you. You make this platform go. Such a great Sunday live. You're all amazing. And we raised some money for Karen tonight, which was great. And that's going to be it. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have an amazing night. I love you all. Goodbye.